fellow lovers of the liminal and the weird, and welcome to another video by Liminal Spaces. I wonder if you can guess what we're going to talk about today.
Or actually, I
Yeah.
should say, I think this is the fourth folio cover.
Oh, yeah.
So it's got like a ape there.
Yeah, holding a little statue.
Yeah, I think. Oh, let's see. Yes, a little robed statue. Isn't that kind of crazy?
Dude, those folio copies are beautiful.
It's so nice. They're so super cool. But I still do love the Don Mates
Mates?
cover.
Yeah.
The Severian there on his destrier.
Yeah. So we are talking about Book of the New Sun. We're talking about the fourth and final, although it's not the final. And like 10 years later, he did Earth of the New Sun, but it's the final Book of the New Sun, and it is called Citadel of the Autarch. And I'm joined today by Virgil, who has been doing deep reads with me throughout all of these. If you guys have not subscribed to Virgil's channel, I don't know what's wrong with you. Go do it. Go do it. Go subscribe to Virgil's channel. You're crazy.
If you haven't subscribed to Chris, what are you doing?
How did you get here? Yeah, so we're going to talk about the Citadel of the Autarch. We've done it. This is Virgil's second reread.
I've read it 3 times, but I don't even really count one of them because it's been so long and I remember nothing. So
this is Virgil's first reread.
Yeah. And I really feel this the first time I really sunk my teeth all the way in. So
yeah, and this is my first time through. So I am looking forward to a reread in the future. I have not read Earth of the New Sun yet. We'll be doing the same thing we're doing here for Earth of the New Sun probably next year, early is what I'm thinking. So. Yeah. So, yeah, and then that will finish. And I just did a video on this strange volume that came out between the Claw of the Conciliator and the Sword of the Lictor, which is called Castle of the Otter, which is a non-fiction addition to the Book of the New Sun. And I covered all that. So if you haven't watched that, check that out. And yeah, let's dive in here. I think we left, so our last video and last book, we left Severian after he broke Terminus Est, his badass sword, in his fight with Baldanders, and he lost the claw, but then found that although the gem had shattered, the claw is actually in the shape of a claw, and he refound it. So he was very happy to have found the claw, but very unhappy to have lost Terminus Est. And we start, and it's funny because I thought it was strange how addicted he was to the claw at the end of the last book. And it was interesting to see how that finished up in this book, but we'll get to that in a minute. So we open with him. He's just still walking around in that area, right?
He has joined the army of the North, and he's become a soldier. And
not yet. He hasn't. He's just walking around, right?
No, he starts off. He starts off talking about being about war. What we're seeing him as, he's been fighting for a while and he's been hurt, but we don't find out that he's been hurt and is kind of like unaware of it.
Oh yeah,
until someone tells him.
Yeah, okay.
Like, oh, you were really hurt, and he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I think I don't know if he got hit in the head or if he was just injured and starved. I don't remember, but when we find him, he's been at war for a while. I don't think it says how long. And I love the initial talk about war and how war is like its own country.
Yeah.
Like, that's such an interesting idea that hills that mean nothing to you and I in the regular world are like the castles and the big cities of war. That's where war lives, and it's like this other dimension.
You'll fight for weeks for a hill.
Right?
That you'd walk past without even looking at.
Right.
In normal circumstances.
Yeah, such a good example of the way he can. Gene Wolfe does this great thing where he has this one little idea and just sort of like blows your mind with it. Right there at the beginning, just kind of like war is its own country, and it's.
Do you mind if I talk about this really quick? A condensed.
Go for it. I want to hear it.
There's two reasons or two ideas he gives of what he wanted to do in the Book of the New Sun. The first one is a love story with Thecla, and it was originally going to be a novella, and it was going to be a love story with this torturer and the prisoner that would eventually he would give her a knife, she would commit suicide, and then he would come into power as the head of his torture clan, and he'd get a letter from her that says, "I'm still alive," and that would put him in a very terrible position. That was the first thing he wanted to write, and then he said the other idea that he wanted to write about in the Book of the New Sun was the journey of a man going to war. And he talked about going to the Korean War, and he talked about deciding to join, going to boot camp, and then traveling to South Korea, and all these steps that he had to take to get to war. And I didn't really realize that, but if you think about it, that's exactly what this book is. This is the book of a person journeying to war. And for me, I'll be honest, the war was never very interesting to me. It didn't seem that important, but Gene Wolfe gives it a ton of time in this book because it was important to him. And he's in one of these essays here, he says a wonderful thing because he presents it. This is what I wanted the Book of the New Sun to be about. And that's the Thecla story. And then he says, and then that chapter ends and he basically starts over again and says, this is what I wanted to be the new Sun to be about, a man going to war. And then the third essay is, hey, I know I just said two completely contradictory things, but he says every story, no matter how long it is, should have two ideas. And I found that really interesting. He said, so if you suddenly have this brilliant idea for a story, you're only halfway there. You need to take another brilliant idea you have for the story and smash the two together. And that's how you get great stories. And I thought that was really interesting because the Thecla stories here, he comes into power, and the man going to war story is here. So that's kind of the cool stuff I gleaned from that book. And I just wanted to bring it up here at the beginning.
It's fascinating. I've actually not read that. So it's something I do own it, but I haven't read it. So that's something I totally need to read. It's one of those things I've had it forever. Haven't
you don't have this copy, do you?
No, the one that you just pointed to?
Yeah.
No. I have a I don't remember what my copy looks like. But I think it's like a tour edition.
So they've printed this more than once then.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me happy because, a lot of my viewers were commenting and saying, there's no way I can read that. It's $75.
Yeah.
To get your foot in the door. But hopefully there's cheaper copies out there.
Well, it's been reprinted now. I don't know if it's in print right now.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I don't know. But I have, if you want, I can go get up and show you my copy. But I didn't grab it.
Yeah, go grab it just for the viewers.
Let's take a look. I looked at it forever.
It'd be funny if you brought back the exact same copy.
I know it's not. Mine looks like this: Castle of Days.
Oh.
Okay. And this has in it. So somebody I don't know if this is put out by Tor, wasn't it? Orb, which I think is a division. ORB. What? Yeah, Tom Dory Associates. I don't remember. I'm not going to worry about that. But it has Gene Wolfe's Book of Days in it, and the Castle of the Otter in it, and the Castle of Days in it. So it has, I think, three. Here, maybe I can show this. Three separate. Does that come up?
Let me get you bigger here.
Okay. Let's see if it comes up without my camera getting super crappy. So there we. Oh, I'm not. Well, I'm backwards, but
you're not backwards to us.
Days, Castle of the Otter. What'd you say? Sorry.
You're not backwards to us.
Oh, I'm not backwards. Cool. And then Castle of Days, right? So I think it has all of that same stuff in it. So
yeah, I see one here for $30.
Yeah. So you should still be able to get this. This was reprinted.
Here's one for 15.
What's that?
Here's one for $15.
Yeah. So you could totally get this. It has the some other stuff that he wrote. That I think is more just his finest work is blah, blah, blah. Humorous Book of Days, Castle of the Otter adds 39 short essays collected here for the first time. Okay, so it was collected. So there's essays in here that maybe weren't collected before
Right,
this
because
printing.
there's three different things. Yeah.
Yeah, so it should have everything in there, but I will say that I've not seen that edition that you have before, and I thought it was super neat.
I wanted to bring that little bit of insight. This is a story that Gene Wolfe wanted to write about a man going to war and all the strange steps in between going to war. And we open with which Virgil realized that I didn't. I thought we just opened with him walking around the north after he broke the claw. But it sounds like he actually was in a little bit of war himself.
And he's sort of like, now when we meet him, he's sort of like, I don't know if he's quite amnesiac. He's not amnesiac, but I don't think he realizes the state that he's in. He's extremely hungry, and he's just sort of Yeah, he's not with any his. I don't know what happened to the people that he was with, but he's not with them anymore. He's by himself, just sort of wandering around.
Yeah, this is him at his lowest, I think.
Yeah,
like in the whole tetralogy, this is him at his lowest.
And he encounters a dead soldier, and he kind of looks, and this soldier has a weapon, which he doesn't have one. I think
he doesn't have a weapon at all.
Yeah, so he has. That's right. He doesn't have any kind of weapon right now. He doesn't have anything to eat, and so this soldier has some food, so he eats that, and he has a letter that was written to him, and I believe he makes the decision to try and see if the claw can bring this man back to life.
Yeah, and it does.
And it does.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
It very slowly, and this man he brings back to life has been dead a little while. I think.
Yeah.
I think we get the impression he's not. It's not like horrifyingly dead, like way past, but he's, I think he says he has the smell of death on him a little bit.
Yeah.
So he's been deceased for a minute, and he comes back to life, but he can't speak. And so we kind of get this great, like these early scenes where Severian is like doing all the talking, and he's sort of like filling in stuff for us, the reader, by relating things to this man, his soldier who's following him, just listening to him, and he's trying to find someone, the Pellerines, to sort of like drop this guy off at. He's like, I got to drop this guy off with somebody. I can't just leave him go. He wants to return the claw. Yes.
This desire to find the Pellerines. See, this is why the war stuff I didn't realize he had joined a regiment or anything. I thought he was just still wandering, trying to find the Pellerines to return the claw. And I think
that's really been the vocal quest he's been talking about the whole time.
Yeah. And I think that eventually the guy can talk, but he can't remember anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like he doesn't remember who he was or anything. But they end up, he finds the Pellerines because they're both getting really sick. Yeah. Even Severian's getting really sick, and they end up going to this camp. And this is when, for me, the book started I kind of saw where the book was going to head in this point. And that is that we were going to spend some time in this camp, and there's a couple of really interesting things that go on in the camp. One I was very interested in, but Virgil was very interested in as well. So I'm going to let you start that one with the different type of sick people that are in this camp that they're laying around.
Oh yeah, so there's all these people in this camp that are injured and sick, either from battle or just in the. You get the impression that these are either casualties from like soldier casualties, or just like regular peasants or something that are in the area. And in this camp, he talks about how Severian talks about how people, there's a quiet time because we're around each other all the time, so people will be quiet, and we try not to eavesdrop because we need a little bit of space from each other. But sometimes they'll come together and talk, and when they come together and talk, there's this woman who has two suitors who are in the camp. She's in the camp. She's a patient, and two other patients are desiring her. They want to marry her, and so
Folia.
Folia. Yes, thank you. And she says, "We'll have what I think is an amazing idea. We'll have a story off." She's her thing is, if I marry one of you, I'll have to spend after like the passion sort of wears down, it's going to be, what's it going to be like on these long, boring nights when there's nothing to do? So I would like to have someone that if I'm going to spend my life with someone, I want to make sure they can tell me a good story. They can entertain me. So whoever can tell me the best story can win my hand. And then we get this just great little sequence of storytelling that I thought was brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. And the first one is, there's a couple of things. Sorry, I'm going to try to go down my notes.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure I missed things.
He meets two wounded soldiers, Melito and Folia.
Mm-hmm.
Melito is one of the ones that wants to win her hand.
Mm-hmm.
But also sitting with them, and the part that I was trying to get Virgil to go into is an Ascian, which is the people that Severian's people are fighting.
Right.
They're the people. They're the people of the north, and it's just Asian with a C added. So I think it's a play on words, just like Earth. URTHs. I think that these are Asians. Is the idea that I got from it, is that this is Gene Wolfe looking at Asians and calling them Ascians, just putting that C in there. And this Asian, this Ascian, and
we better make sure we say Ascian.
Yeah, ask. And do you say Ascian or
Ascian? That's how the audiobook says it. Ascian.
Ascian, so, good. Yeah. This Ascian has an interesting way of talking, and Folia understands him, and I don't know why. Do you remember why Folia can understand him?
I think she's been with these Pellerines or something for a while, and she's like heard them, but she's talked with them before for some reason. I don't remember the explanation for why, but she can listen to them and interpret.
Yeah,
and she knows how to. She can communicate with them. I was so happy when we talked. I'm like, oh, I'm really excited. There's a certain thing that's early in the book, and you're like, hey, this thing, and I'm like, that's the exact thing I was excited about.
Yeah. So the Ascian has an interesting way of talking.
Yeah. So what their language is based around I guess you could say holy text, but you might say like official text.
To me, what it felt like is the Little Red Book, Chairman Mao's Little Red Book in the Cultural Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
These sayings of the great leader idea. They have this book of this official book of sayings that are all propaganda approved things to say in the North.
Yes, right. Very much a manifesto type document, or like this is like if you can imagine that the government wrote a document about the best way for a citizen to behave and the best way for a citizen to think
and speak.
That's exactly what this book is, right? It says this is how you should think, this is how you should act, and so all communication by Ascians is by restructuring stock phrases from this book. So the only way they can talk is by lifting an exact sentence from the book and restating it.
Yeah. Like the propaganda has gone so deep that they don't want to ever use their own words. Right. Like the language has lost so much because all they want to do is use the words from this approved text. So yeah, they have to express all the intricacies of their language through this book of official idioms and sayings.
Yeah. Just brilliant. And it's great too, especially when we get to hear the Ascian talk, and Folia translates, and it's all about like context. She's like, who might say something twice in a row, and she's like, oh, he means this.
Yeah.
And you're like, Oh, how it's super interesting. Definitely, if somebody's kind of like wanting a parallel to this, a great example is like Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yep.
That the
Temba,
episode,
his arms wide.
yeah, that's right. Shanto when the walls fell or whatever, right? Yeah, that episode is very, very, very much in tone, with this, right? Except that there's a definite impression that the Ascians like are feel like mentally compressed, like they can't, like their thoughts are controlled by their own language, which has a 1984 feel to it. To me, it reminded me of like Newspeak.
Yeah, it's propaganda.
Yeah.
They only speak in propaganda, and they obsessed with the righteousness and the correctness of these phrases so much that they didn't dare to speak any other phrases. And I'm guessing because Gene Wolfe was involved in the Korean War. I believe that's what he talked about in that book. I think this is Gene Wolfe's look at the kind of communism that he came in contact with.
Like a hyper version of it or something,
yeah,
or a very maligned version of it.
right. Which of course it would be a dictatorship. Communism on paper, there's a final step where the leaders step down and everybody's equal. That's never occurred politically because nobody wants to give up the power right at the end. So they always turn into these dictatorships.
I don't think he's saying that the idealistic version of communism is what this is. This is obviously a politicized version of it.
Right.
Someone has come along. I think we learn very, very subtly near the end of this book who is in control of, or who is directing the Ascians. There's a real subtle reference to it, but it's absolutely a dictatorship,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're not, it's not like the people are making the decisions. The people are slaves. And that's really what you get the impression of it. They are slaves.
Yeah.
Their life is almost meaningless.
Yeah. And I think Severian early on, before even the storytelling starts, is kind of like interested in this Ascian because he starts to realize there's a person under there. And I think that is the heart of Gene Wolfe has made this statement on what is wrong with the enemy. But then he makes the statement, but those are people. Yes. And I think that's really important that to him that he expresses, and Severian, it's important to Severian because he starts to understand and respect this Ascian soldier and this strange way of communicating. Because at first it just seems like a parrot. But then he slowly realizes, wait a minute, this isn't just a parrot. This is a human being saying things.
Right. And it's great too, because at first when the Ascian talks and this Ascian talks, you just don't know what he's saying. Like you really are waiting for Folia to translate for you too, because you have no idea what that could mean.
Right.
But later on in the book, we encounter another Ascian, and when that Ascian talks, I'd still struggle with it, but you can kind of say, oh, I kind of think I know what they're trying to say. And you get to see another Ascian talking. And I think that's really fascinating that he kept that isn't just this little section of this book that it kind of repeats a couple times. And you get to see different interactions with Ascians throughout the novel. And I loved it. And it's all brilliant writing, right? So Gene Wolfe had to conceive of this culture, conceive of this idea, come up with these stock phrases about the group of 17. There's a lot of talk about the group of 17, which is like the council that rules this society or is supposed to, which seems a very disinterested council, by the way.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we talk about his story.
Yeah. I think it's just great that he doesn't actualizes that in the book, and it just comes off so good. You feel all the depth of that culture in these small bits of language.
Yeah. Brilliant. The other thing I wanted to say before we move on to the stories is, for some odd reason, Severian believes that this soldier that he brought to life, who had the letter in his backpack, which Severian lost to the wind, and feels bad about because he brought the guy back to life, and he's like, I wish I had this letter for you. He thinks it's Jonas. And I didn't understand, and perhaps I'll learn more on a read through, because I think Jonas said we'll meet again or we'll see each other again, and Severian has decided this is what Jonas meant.
Yeah, and I struggle with that connection too. I'm not. It's tough. It's tough. It's hard to say. I think I feel a little nebulous about it. I feel like
Yeah.
I agree. I would need another read to really look for everything in earlier conversations and piece all the Jonas conversations together, and then look at this soldier again, who I think he calls Jonas. He calls him something Jonas.
Yeah. Eventually, the guy gets his own name, and I can't
Yeah,
remember what it is.
Severian gives him a name, and then he says, "That's my name." Later, when he meets Severian, and he's like, Severian's like, no, that's the name I gave you."
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember what he.
I
Go ahead.
can't either. I can't remember either.
But he does give him a name.
Yeah.
And then the guy later regurgitates it and said, "That's my name." And he's like, I don't know.
Yeah. And Severian comes up with this idea in his head that Jonas has been completely remade into this soldier, that like he's done some kind of high-tech stuff that Severian doesn't understand to become this person that he woke up. And there is no link no logic that I can follow to figure out why Severian thinks this.
I don't remember. I don't know either. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like I must have missed something, or that there's some other connections that I just didn't quite connect. But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fun for the next time.
Exactly. And I just wanted to bring it up because it's a thing that happens before the stories. Oh, he actually tells this soldier that Jolenta is dead.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's like, just so you know, Jolenta is dead. And the soldier's like, okay.
He's like,
okay,
all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
You remember Jonas was like really wanted to be with Jolenta, which is so interesting if you think about it. Knowing what we know about Jonas and knowing what we know about Jolenta at the time, it just seems strange.
They're both artificial.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, and you know what? And that's a really excellent point, is that maybe that was what attracted Jonas so much to her. Maybe that's why he was like, "You're like me.
Yeah.
You're not real either." Or
Yeah.
you're real, whatever we want to put on that. That's a great point. Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
See, I'm right here. Boom, right in this moment.
This is what every time I do these with you, you like again, I didn't read the beginning of the book that he'd already fought. Like I missed that somehow entirely. That's why I love having you do these with me, because I miss half the stuff. We cover so much more. So there's a couple of people competing for the hand of Folia. Folia, we've never met her before. She's just there in the sick beds. And there's two soldiers that are fighting over her. One of them is Halvard. So Halvard tells a story, and I'm not going to dive deep into this story because I don't remember it, but you might. But I do remember, I did write down what I think it's pointing to. Do you remember the story?
The story is let's see, it's sort of like, it reminds me of like a Norse or Icelandic fishing story.
Yeah.
But it very much feels like an Icelandic saga. Is it? Well, not exactly a saga, I guess. Those are longer, but
Norse mythology.
Yeah. It has an Icelandic story feel to it, right?
And his name's Halvard, so
yeah. So we're not too far from the truth here.
Right.
And it's a story about these. He tells it as though he says this is a real thing that happened, that he knows fictional stories and he knows true life stories. And this is a life story he tells. And it's about his, I don't know if it was a brother or a cousin or an uncle.
Brother.
And how he had married someone, or someone has been married. I can't remember if the brother had married this person or if it's somebody else, but there's a woman and there's two men. One is, I think one is the brother of this woman and one is the husband. And this woman has some sort of a fortune that she's going to inherit because of who she is, right? And it would go to one of these two men, depending on how it goes out. But it's going to go to the husband, I believe. I believe this is correct, or maybe it's.
And the husband is the brother.
Okay.
So I believe that it's an inheritance for those two men.
Yes.
These are two brothers.
Oh, okay.
And it's an
Oh,
inheritance for these two men.
okay, that's probably
And
where I'm missing it. Okay.
yeah, and eventually one of the brothers kills the other one and is considered a coward. And the whole time I'm reading this, I'm like, shit, this is Cain and Abel.
Yeah.
And the
No,
whole
very true.
story is really truly, I think, Cain and Abel. I think that's another time that we're seeing Gene Wolfe kind of look at this biblical mythology,
Mhm.
and tells this kind of Cain and Abel story. And at the end, Halvard says, "That is the best story I know," and everybody was very, very much entertained.
Yes.
Yeah,
It definitely has a primitive storytelling feel to it, right? Like an earlier story, like an older story, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Less flowery,
It has a
less
feel of oral tradition myth.
yeah.
Yeah,
And there's a whole thing there too with this killing where it's passed off as being this fishing accident, and then but then the brother who dies cuts the rope with his knife, so it's going to look like one of the brothers murdered him or something. There's a whole thing there. It's just a really great sort of like setup and story. Really, it is actually on its own a great story.
yeah, yeah. And it's weird because this got me thinking, and I know that people have talked about this before, but we see again this concept echoed in Severian of Jesus figure.
Mm,
And I mean, we've seen him raise the dead, but this raising of what he feels like is Jonas is kind of a Lazarus idea.
mhm.
Um, in that he's brought this person back to life, and we don't know how long he's been dead, but I feel like Gene Wolfe is very much pointing at all this, and we'll get into that a little bit later. um, the next guy is Melito,
Lito.
and Melito is this other soldier that is vying for her hand, and he tells a story about chicken, a cock that fights an angel.
Right.
This cock is a badass, and he talks about he can fly better than any. Yeah, I think he can go a longer distance than any other chickens in the area. So he's like, I can fly longer than everybody. I can kick everybody's ass. And this angel happens to be listening and comes down and is like, all right, let's go. And the cock is very smart and is like, "Oh, I can't fight you. You're not a cock." And the
You're not
angel,
a bird. Yeah, it's not
yeah,
fair for me to have to fight you.
yeah. And I think there's like three steps to this, as there is in most fairy tales, where eventually the angel is able to continue to, as the chicken moves the goalposts, the angel is able to answer those. And I can't remember how it ends. Does the angel just kick the
I
chicken's
think
butt?
I think there's some final thing that he says or does, and he's like, there's something that the cock says to the angel, and the angel's like, okay. He's kind of like, all right. I think he kind of wins, or it's a draw, because
Yeah,
it's
but it's
definitely like,
shameful. It's shameful. The angel's like, "All right, if you want to play it like this." But
yeah, because there's a whole discussion about you have the power of the divinity, and he's like, well,
right.
I'll set my divinity aside, and all these other things. Is this great, like you said, that not only is the cock a very apt fighter, but he's also extremely shrewd.
Yeah.
And of course, this is, I feel, Melito talking about himself, or to some degree, sort of promote. It feels like there's a bit of self promotion in this story.
Yeah, and it's funny because Severian afterwards, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but right after this story, Severian thinks for a couple of pages about his own pride.
Mm,
And I think this is a story obviously about pride.
mhm.
Um doesn't the angel pop his divinity into a person that's standing by watching
Something just like that. He's like, here,
for
hold
just a
this for
minute?
me. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a kind of a hold my
Seriously.
wing, hold my halo.
But right after this, what's his name? Mel Maliko? I can't remember.
Melito, is that what he said?
But he says, "This is the worst story I know, which
Yeah.
is a brilliant move because it entertained everybody. Everybody was entertained. And he's like, this is the crappiest story that I can tell. All my other stories blow this one out of the
Right.
water. So the other guy, Halvard, told his best story. So she knows what she can expect from Halvard. But Melito is like, what the heck is this guy's name? Yeah,
Yeah.
Melito is like, this is my worst story. You don't even know what my best story is. And my worst story is better than Halvard's.
And it's totally in character for that person because he seems very skeevy when you
Yeah,
listen to him, and it's a very skeevy thing to say, right? It's a very manipulative. This is the worst story. Of course, we don't know if it's the worst story. Nobody does, right? I think
right,
somebody says that we have to judge by the story that you told.
right,
So we can't judge on some hype, or that's what Halvard says. We can't judge on the hypothetical stories that you didn't present,
right.
you know. Um,
And
so
Severian's taking this really seriously.
he is sweating.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I have to pick one.
Yeah, because he has to choose who this woman is going to marry. He's taking this very seriously. The next night, Halvard and Melito are ready to be judged, and she says, no, there's another soldier here that is vying for my hand, and that is the Ascian soldier.
Yes.
And then he tells a story that she has to translate. And do you know the do you remember the story?
Yeah. Yes. It's a very interesting story. It's very much a very parable-esque.
Yeah,
Very
because you were talking earlier about they don't seem to give a crap about anything. The group of 17. Yeah,
yeah. So it's about his story is about this farmer on a commune, like a commune farm, right? Who's doing all this work, and the people he's working with do nothing.
yeah,
And he's like, you guys aren't following the rules of the group of 17. And they're like, oh yeah, watch us beat your ass. Which is
yeah,
what they did, which they did. They beat him up. He's all bruised up. And so he leaves and he goes to the city to complain about these people that he's seemingly been assigned to work with. He's been assigned to work
yeah.
here or
And
live here.
I assume they're all getting paid
Yes.
a certain amount. It's like having, when they make you do group work in school, and they're like,
Right.
there's
And you end up
always
with the group of goof offs
right,
and class clowns and fail and like flunk outs. It's like that's the group
right,
that this guy got assigned,
yeah,
right? And so they're like, you do all the work, and he's like, ugh. So he complains, and the group he goes to the city, he waits. I just have this picture of him like waiting on the steps of this like governmental building, like bleeding and like bruised and like begging for scraps. And finally, they talk to him. And they say, "Well, tell them that's wrong."
yep,
And he's like, "Okay." And he goes back, and they're like, "Oh yeah," and it happened. They beat him up again. And so
yeah.
he goes back, and it's repeated. And I think he goes back at least 3 times.
Fairy tales, man, always
Yeah,
three.
3. So he goes back 3 times, and then he comes back the third time, and he says, "They said they really mean it. You guys better listen." And then they beat him up again, and then they're like, "You know what? He's gone there a couple times. We better get out of here because at some point the government, like the soldiers, are going to show up. This guy's going to cause trouble for us." And
It's
so I think they
interesting.
run.
Oh, yeah, they run off.
They
Yeah.
run off. I don't remember if he goes back again or if it's like and
No.
happily ever after. I
No,
think
he
he just
doesn't.
happily ever after that, or he gets to work and now he can sort of do his job, do his duty to society, which is all he does. And that's even in what I love too is even in the Ascian talking to Folia and being interested in her, he talks about how not like I love you. He's like it's a woman's duty to bear children, and he's talking about his poetry to her, his Romeo to her Juliet is like, don't you want to bear children and work for the group of 17 and all this other stuff? And it's like it's such a hard ask, right? It's like really
Yeah,
tough.
and it's interesting to me because basically every one of his sentences is praising the group of 17.
Mm-hmm.
But his story, the group of 17 don't do shit.
Nothing.
And eventually he bugs the people that are taking advantage enough that they get a little scared that maybe the group of 17 will do something, but they never do.
Never do.
They tell them, you tell those guys, we're going to get them.
That's wrong. It's naughty.
Yeah, but they never do anything. And I feel like the Ascian is doing something very unpatriotic in the telling of this story, that he is slipping in the reality of the situation versus the exalted fantasy that the propaganda creates. I think that he's talking a tiny bit of shit. I think he can't say it directly, but I think that he's like, does this seem to work well?
Yeah. It's a critique on the group of 17 and
yeah,
the society that he's from.
yeah,
And it's the only way he knows how to express himself. It's just great. And of course, we get him telling the story, and again, it's very difficult for you as the reader to interpret because we get what he says and then Folia's translation, and he'll say something and she'll be like, now then she'll like say something, and you're kind of like, well, and you can tell that she's putting her interpretation on it. And I think Severian even stops her and he says, wait a minute, how are you doing this? Like, he just said this and this, and she's like, well, I know, if you were, she talks about how context, and she says, if you were to see someone on the street with their hand out like this with a bowl, you would know they're begging for alms. So if I were to mimic that behavior right now, what I'm doing. That's how I can, that context that we have about in that relationship is the same sort of context that he's communicating in his story that's how I can interpret. So it requires this sort of like cultural knowledge of the Ascians in order to understand what they say.
Which is, you've just summed up. I was going to read
Sorry.
the whole, no, that's great. You summed it up. That's it. Exactly. The one thing I want to add to that is that Gene Wolfe does this thing where it just seems like Severian is talking about writing his book, or translating a language or whatever, but Gene Wolfe's also talking about storycraft through that, I think. And it's interesting that we get the concept of Gene Wolfe translating Severian's story to us in our time from somewhere so far in the future that we have a terrible time understanding it.
Yeah.
So he plays Folia in that way as well. He is translating Severian for us. Well, Severian is really, but yeah, Gene Wolfe is telling us this story, that we have to trust him, that this is exactly what Severian means.
Yeah. I really like it. I really do. Obviously the story itself is not my favorite of these stories. That one is we have yet to talk about,
of course.
But it, like you say, there's such a great magic in him saying this very repetitive sentences, these very structured, like stock phrases, and then Folia hearing that, interpreting it, and then presenting, and then storytelling to us. And I really enjoyed it. I really did. There's some sort of magic in that, in the simplicity that she tells that story in. It's great.
Yeah, really wonderful. So that night, Severian's like, shit, I gotta pick who told the best story.
He's really sweating now.
Oh my God. And he's sweating, and she's like, well, I think we'll have one more storyteller tomorrow night. And the next night comes, and she shows up and says, hey, I think I should be able to tell a story and win my own hand, which I thought was really incredible. And all of this smacks of a frame story in fairy tales. Like if you read the Arabian Nights, there's this frame story, and then all these little stories put in, or the Decameron by I forgot who it's by, Boccaccio. Yes. If you read that, also has this frame story. This feels like, this whole first part, I was like, wow, we're like in the Arabian Nights all of a sudden. Like this is so interesting. Yeah, exactly. And I love how kind of forward thinking Gene Wolfe was with, well, what if she doesn't want to marry one of these guys? Like, can she fight for her own hand? And the answer is absolutely. And this story is really, in my opinion, the most fairy tale like of all the tales that are told, and the one that I think had the most fun with, Virgil.
Yeah, it starts off very much like a fairy tale you've probably heard, and eventually, as it goes, it does take a direction I found a little bit unexpected, but that I loved. And it just has, I think, one of the best endings. It has the best ending of all these stories, and it's
Yeah.
my absolute favorite of all these stories too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
all about this
is it
woman,
3 suitors?
this woman who has these suitors,
Yeah. She's a
and
princess.
yes, and how she
I think the father says, whoever marries her gets my kingdom.
that's
So,
right.
so they're guaranteed a shitload of power and money if they can marry his daughter. And so a bunch of people show up, but only 3 make it to the room where she is. And I can't remember what they had to do to get to the room where she was, but only 3 men are good enough.
So what she does, I remember now, she dresses up like a suitor and hangs out with them.
Yeah.
And listens to them bragging, and she's like, and tells her dad, she's like, this guy, no, forget it, he can go. And they're like, yeah, go away. I think there's some sort of an implied threat too, like you better don't let the sun set on you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that kind of a thing.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Yeah, make it be out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's got 3 that and she says, okay, here's the rules. Do you remember the rules? You need to catch.
There's a bird. I don't remember what the kind of bird it was, but it has a golden band or a golden ring or something like that on its leg. She attached to its leg, and she lets it fly out the window. And she says, whoever can bring this bird back to me, I think it's supposed to be alive. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be alive.
Yeah, I think so.
Whoever can bring it back to me wins my hand.
It's a bird she loves. It's in a cage in her room.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe a songbird. I don't remember.
It's a bird.
It's a bird. It's a bird. It is definitely has feathers and it flies.
And a ring.
And those guys are like, whoa, and they run outside and they get on their horses and they ride to the 3 corner. They go in 3 separate directions, I think.
Yeah.
And then we have we follow the first suitor who encounters essentially it sort of reminds me of like the story, like an Arthurian story of like the Black Knight or something, like you can't cross this bridge, and then he, or something almost sort of like that, but he notices that this other this figure that this first suitor encounters looks like another suitor himself, and he's dressed in brown, I think, and is wearing a golden band, and he's like, oh, okay. So he fights this guy.
Yeah, he's like, you must be a person meant to hide the bird.
Yeah.
Because you're dressed like the bird.
And so
yeah,
he beats this other guy, and he like doesn't kill him. He's like, well, I beat you, and I think he leaves. He rides off to go look for the bird, and you're like, okay. And then we go to the second suitor, and I'm trying to remember how the second suitor.
Yeah, it's in a river, something, and he ends up killing.
Oh, that's right. He thinks. So he says that the second suitor encounters a very similar stranger, and the stranger says, well, I am that bird turned into a person.
Yes. Yeah, we get that. Yeah.
And they say, well, I'm going to bring you back to the princess. And he's like, this mysterious figure is like, okay. But then they're going to cross a bridge. And so he's like, well, if I kill this guy, if I cut this rope on this rope bridge while he's on it, he'll have to turn into a bird.
So I can take him
capture
back.
the bird, and I can get back there so much quicker. We just cut out all this nonsense of me like trying to get this guy to follow me and listen.
Well, and I think he also believes that he needs to bring him back as a bird. So he's like, too. I've got to force this guy to change. I must force this guy to change. And yeah, he says, if I cut the rope bridge and he starts falling, the only way he's going to be able to save himself is to turn into a bird, and then I can win.
But that does not work.
No.
I think I don't know what happens.
The guy splats.
Is that what happens?
I think he dies. Yeah, I think he just kills the dude, and he's like, "Shit, I killed the dude," and he runs off.
or like the body goes away. He's like, "Oh shit," and he leaves. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Oh, he's out of here. And then the
yeah.
third suitor, I do not remember how the third suitor finds the same stranger or a very similar one, and he has like a conversation with him, and the
Mhm.
stranger says, "Well," he says, "Okay, you found me. Take me back to the princess." And he's like, "Okay." He's like, "Well." I think this
Yeah,
man in brown, this mysterious figure in brown says, "You can either take me back the fast way,
yes,
or which is quicker, or the slow way, which is better." And he says, "The slow way it is. I will do the way it's better." And
I want to add really quick. He's the only one that realizes that that's the bird right away.
mhm.
The other guy
Oh,
tells him he's the bird. This guy is like, "You need to know my secret, and then you need to solve my riddle." And he's like, "What's the secret?" And he's like, "You're the bird."
yeah,
And then he's like, "Okay, so should we take the long way or the short way home?" And you're right. He says, "Let's take the long way."
a long way that's better. And they go home. They journey together. They become the best of friends. They become almost like these sort of privateers or something. They go around and they're sailing and having adventure and like fighting off bad guys. Maybe they're even robbing. Maybe they're even like actual pirates. I don't remember
Yeah,
exactly, but it's great. And they get back home, and of course, when this is all happening, I'm thinking, I was just thinking something, and then they get back home, and it's
yeah,
like, well, it was the princess all along, which
yeah,
of course we kind of knew, and
yeah.
you have a feeling that they've been in a romantic relationship for a
Yes,
long time now.
yeah,
And then,
yeah. I think it hints at the fact that he knows this.
yeah, that he can tell, like almost from the beginning, that this is the princess.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah, it's I'm gonna make a weird this is right. This is my jam. I love the fairy tales and folk tales. And this one, the thing that it most reminded me of is the oldest Japanese fairy tale in existence, which is called the Tale of the Bamboo Cutter,
okay.
which some people have claimed is also one of the oldest science fiction stories.
Oh wow.
But it's this bamboo cutter's out cutting bamboo, and he cuts in this bamboo, and he finds this teeny little girl child in this bamboo on a pile of money. And he's like, "Holy crap, we got money!" And of course, this is the bamboo cutter and his wife can't have children, wanting children. Um, and this little girl that they adopt grows like super quick, like becomes an adult in like a couple of years, and is the most beautiful woman in the land. And all these suitors start coming, and of course her parents want to marry her off. That's what but they want her to have the best life that she can, and that's how they know how to do it. And all these suitors come, and she's like, "I can't really marry these suitors." But what she does is she sends 3 suitors on impossible tasks, and the story turns into these journeys of these suitors trying to fulfill these tasks that they cannot fulfill, and they all either give up and run away or come back and try to lie to her. Like she wants a branch from this Buddha tree, and it's so the guy has one made by a jeweler, and he gives it to her, and she's like, "Oh crap, he got it." And then the jeweler shows up, and he's like, "You owe me money," and that kind of stuff. Kind of reminded me of this, just because I've already started telling it. In the end, uh, she turns them all down, and then the emperor's like, "Yo, you're the one. I want you to be my empress." And she's like, "Okay, dude, I can't mess with you. You're the emperor. So I'm going to tell you, my people are coming back to get me. I'm from the moon." And straight up, like, these people come down on a cloud, and they're like, "We're here to pick her up. That's our daughter right there." And she's like, "All right, I'm going back to the moon." And they fly back to the moon, and that's why people kind of associate it with science fiction. But anyway, that's what this really reminded me of, these kind of suitors and tasks. And of course, it's all over European fairy tales as well. These impossible tasks, and the one person that is able to do them. There's one from the Pentamerone, but I can't
So
think of what it's called right now. But go ahead.
that what you had just said, the story you had said at first reminded me of the story of Thumbelina, but I don't remember how all of that one goes out. But what's the Greek myth about the golden apples and she has suitors? Who is that?
So the Thumbelina one, the reason it reminds you of that, I assume, is because the frog wants to marry her. And then the badger, something, they're always trying to set her up. But also she's tiny when it begins. Yes.
Yeah, I guess that was what started me on it.
But Thumbelina is about suitors. It really is. What is the apples one? If I remember correctly, who is it? There's a person that has to judge which goddess is the most beautiful.
Oh, that's what it is. Yes.
And whichever, and then somebody, I can't remember.
I think it's something with Aphrodite. I think you're right.
Yeah. And then he'll get an apple, or he has to go get an apple.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different myth. Well,
I'm sure there's Greek myths about.
There's a Greek myth that fits this framework. I know where I think that there's like I know there's one. Which one it is? We'll let you find out.
There's probably something biblical too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're definitely probably. I would definitely think that there is. I just don't not recall one.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think she would have won. Like, this story kicks ass.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
We talked about it the most. I think that she would have won, but Severian still has to decide. And that night, as he's trying to make his decision, because he has to reveal his decision the next day, there's a specific what are they called? Parian? What are the
Pellerines?
Pellerine. The specific Pellerine nun comes and is kind of friendly with him. Oh, there's a mosquito. I hate those mosquitoes, man.
Oh, mosquitoes are terrible.
Oh my god. And he likes this nun, and then he finally makes the decision. He goes into the makeshift tent cathedral that they have there, and he takes the claw and hides it. He lifts up the stone of the altar and hides the claw under the altar, which really shocked me, because when you read the end of this, when he thought the sword of the lictor, when he thought the claw, like, he was like, terminus est, damn. But when he thought the claw was destroyed,
he was like devastated, just completely devastated.
Yeah. So I thought this was going to be the story, like kind of a Lord of the Rings Precious type of thing. But no, he's just like, this is where it belongs. And he hides it. He doesn't even tell anybody he does it. It's completely selfless. And of course, at this point, I, and probably you, Virgil, and probably many readers are like, I don't know if Severian's ability to bring the dead, people back from the dead, is about the claw.
Right.
That's what
you start to question it after. If you haven't already, you're definitely questioning it now.
Yeah.
And when he does that, he feels elated. He almost does a little jig or something.
Yeah.
He's so excited that the burden of carrying this relic he feels like is off of him. He's like, I'm not responsible for making sure this gets back to the people who are supposed to have it.
Right. Yeah, he was super excited about it. And now we are, let's see, I think we're almost 120 pages into the book. And right after this claw thing, a nun comes out and is like, hey, I saw you do that. You're awesome. We need you to do something for us.
Yep. We
need you to go talk to this hermit dude, this some kind of spiritual hermit guy. He's super awesome. A very religious, super awesome guy. Go talk to him, but you have to get to his house, which is she gives him this kind of verbal map of how to get to his house. And she's like, he's not going to want to come with you. I need you to bring him kicking and screaming back here, because the battlefront is moving for his house, and we don't want this guy killed. So she's like, you need to go do that. And so he leaves, and that is literally it with these stories,
right?
Which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, it's never finished. Gene Wolfe's like, well, that was fun. and we jump to something completely different.
Yep, it's like that whole part. It's like that closes that part of the book. That part,
Yeah.
and it's like a new book section of the book starts.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's even, is this broke up into, no, it's not. It just goes straight chapter by chapter.
There's a feeling though that like of this being like a milestone essentially, like that. Not that the story changes, but what like the events of the first half of this novel are don't necessarily inform the rest of the novel.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So it's so he goes to this thing. It's called the Last House.
Yeah.
And he has to go to the Last House, which is a very interesting and very brooding sort of title, right? And he has this
house
map.
on the borderland style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has this map, and he talks about how he thinks he can kind of get this there by this way, but he finds out that if he doesn't follow the map precisely, exactly the way it says, or how it's supposed to be read, that he won't get there. He just can't. It's like he'll get there, he'll get to where it should be, but it won't be there.
Yeah.
And so only through this very circuitous path can he get to the house, and comes to the last house, and
he straight up climbs a cliff.
Right.
Like a whole day of climbing this cliff, and gets up in the house. He saw the house when he was at the bottom of the cliff, but when he gets to the top, the house is gone. Right. So he's got to come back down and do a different route in order to see this house.
Mm-hmm. And I cannot remember the resident's name.
Ash.
Ash, that's right. It's such an easy name too, Ash. Right? So Master Ash, who he describes as being like one of those hydrojewel statues come to life.
Yeah.
And I guess that's, it's hard to understand. He still seems to describe him like he's human, but then he says very clearly that that's how like majestic and like imposing and powerful and sort of regal seemingly that Master Ash is. But Master Ash is like, reminds me of like a philosopher.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Very much. Very, very intelligent and wise and well-spoken. And Severian and Master Ash have some conversations, which I think are great.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really worth reading, and they don't necessarily further the plot any, but they kind of look inward. And then did you want to say anything about the conversation?
Yeah, so just the couple things. One thing Master Ash and Severian talk about the Ascians and about the battle, and Master Ash has some really like very accurate insight as to what's going on. And he sort of says it seems as though the Ascians are striving for a quick, sudden victory. And Severian's like, why? And he goes, I don't know. He goes, I don't know that.
Yeah, he says maybe they're running out of resources.
Yeah, he's sort of there's a number of reasons, but he's like, but what you're telling me, this is why. And then I think I don't remember what else they talk about.
Oh, they talked about, let me see if I wrote anything down here.
And then Severian goes to bed.
Oh no, we got to go a little bit more for my notes. Yeah, Severian goes to bed. Third floor?
He goes up into this house. He goes up to another story.
I think it's the third floor. I think he's sleeping on he's sleeping on the second floor. And then he wakes up and he's like, I need to go get Ash. I need to talk to Ash for some odd reason. And he goes up to the third floor and he goes to the window and is staring out the window, and the cliff is gone and there's just this glacier. Like it's all the way up to almost the window, and he's just staring across this dead, frozen glacier. The world he knows is not out these windows.
Right.
And Ash comes out and is like, you figuring it out? So it turns out, and this is brilliant. Ash is from a future, and I'm going to say is from a future where all the Kakojins, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Kakojins,
sure,
the aliens that are hanging around on Earth, and we start to learn a little bit more about them. They are kind of representing Earth to a bigger universe.
They're like our sponsors.
Yeah, they're like, these guys are cool. Give them a minute.
Yeah.
But in this future, the Kakojins have taken all the Earthlings out into space, and Earth died by freezing over. And he says, "But this house, I'm studying. I'm here to study the past of Earth because I'm super interested in it, and so are all my people, of these humans of the future." And he says, "Yeah, this house is basically got different levels of time, and the oldest the house goes, the lowest time is the first floor, which is your time. That's as far back as this house goes. And then the second is into the future, and the third is into the future, which would be the past for Ash."
Right.
And Severian's like, "That is insane. We need to go." And Ash is like, "Dude, I'm studying here. I don't need to go." And he's like, "But the front is moving." And he's like, "So what? I gotta be on the third floor. Who gives a crap?"
He
And
said,
he's
yeah, he says that the battle will never find me here. It will never
Yeah.
harm me. And he kind of says too, he's like, I don't know. He's like, I'm pretty sure I can't go with you. He says something like
Right.
that. Like, he's like, I'm not really, he's
Oh,
like,
he gives a reason too.
yeah,
He says, "You are in my past, but I have no idea if I'm in your future.
yes,
I don't know if your future leads to me. So if you take me out of here, I could disappear because I'm not protected once I'm outside the house. If I'm not in your future, I'm gone."
yeah.
And I found that really, really interesting. Also, what I found interesting is Severian's like, "Too bad we're doing this." Like, I didn't get the feeling through most of the books that Severian gave a crap about the Parian, or however you say it, religion,
Pellerines, yeah.
the Pellerine religion. I didn't feel like, but like the Pellerines are the one people that he will not break his word to.
Mhm.
Like I feel like he has some pretty strong faith. The fact that he put that claw that almost destroyed him when he lost it, the fact that he just gave it to them like it was nothing, and the fact that Ash is literally telling him, you could be killing me here, dude." And he's like, "Too bad." I feel like that Severian is very faithful
Mm.
to the whatever they're called.
Yeah, I think he's sort of soul search. He wants something. He isn't he said at this point, either in the last book or this book, that he doesn't feel that he is a torturer at all anymore. Like he's not, he doesn't feel like that's even something
Right.
he would be. He hasn't been one for a while, and so he's looking for something to attach himself to, and he's sort of choosing the Pellerines. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this thing for them, this quest they put me on, and then they're gonna look favorably on me and accept me
Yeah.
as
Oh
to
yeah,
be like,
because they do this thing where if you join them, this was an interesting part that I forgot about. He's like, "Yeah, you can party and get drunk and have fun times with ladies, and the religion doesn't forbid any of that, but you gotta work."
Mhm.
Um, and doesn't isn't there a story told where there's a guy that doesn't? I
Yes.
can't remember. Do you
When
remember?
he's still in the camp, before he leaves, I think it's before he gets rid of the claw. A guy comes in and sort of talks to him and says, "Oh, I think are you a torturer?" He says, "Well, I used to be." And he talks, and he had met this man, a slave of the Pellerines. Um,
Yeah, you got to become a slave. Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
So he had encountered one of Severian's masters. I don't remember which master it was.
The main one from the first book. What the hell's his name?
Um,
Go ahead and keep going.
anyway, but so he had encountered one of them, and because he had in his youth like committed a crime and had to get the lash, and part of after this conversation, after he had been got his punishment, he had asked this master torturer to come back and talk to him, and he said like, and the advice that this guy had given this slave was join up with an organization, have purpose in your life, otherwise you could encounter me again. It seems very
Yeah.
likely that it will happen. And so he did that. He joined the Pellerines, but now he wonders, which I think is really fascinating because we've seen this a few times, is this a trick? Was it all a trick?
Yeah.
Or
Was he
all
messing
my
with me?
whole life was a trick by this torture to make me make myself a slave? He says, I've had a good life, but maybe it was all a trick. And Severian's like, no. He's like, he gave you the best advice that he could, right?
Yeah.
There's this reoccurring theme in all these books of people thinking that the torturers are like
right, like they're gonna I mean, like he really literally is like, did he torture me my whole life?
Right.
Was what, like, did he give me that advice so that I would be tortured throughout my whole life? Yeah, they all think that. Yeah, they really do.
And what's great is that every single torture that we encounter, we see is not that way at all.
Yeah.
They're very much about doing what performing their job function effectively and efficiently, not to excess and not like shirking it either. It's very insistent on like a lot of pride in doing it precisely what is asked of them, and no more, no less.
Yeah.
And it's not this sort of maniacal, like, ooh, I love torturing people, or I love inflicting harm or killing people. You know, everyone thinks that's what the torturers are like, but they're not. None of them are. And I love that keeps coming back, because Severian keeps saying, no, that's not how we are. That's not how I am. It's not how we are.
And it's interesting because Severian is literally considering becoming a slave to the Pellerines, or yeah. But anyway, he comes out of this house doing this for them, and of course, Ash disappears. Ash is not Severian's future.
You know, something else I thought was interesting too. I think Master Ash said it maybe before they leave. He said that I think he said something about time is not like a line; it's like an ocean.
Yeah,
and, you know, and it had this really great idea about like, you don't move forward, backward in time. You move in any possible direction that you can move in, an infinite number of directions, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's where all these, and so I love that idea. It's such a great way to think about how like different realities and the different sort of things that are happening in this book, and how it's all kind of weird and jumbled, and maybe I'm in your future, maybe not.
It's amazing how much time travel are in these books.
Yeah, a lot.
I mean, seriously, yeah.
A lot.
I thought it was teleport technology, but it's not. It's time travel technology.
Yeah.
Those mirrors, and they're explained. And I think in my video of Shadow of the Torturer, or the second one, no, you and I talking about Claw of the Conciliator, we talk about the way the mirrors are set up, and the way that they figured out space travel. I can't wait to reread this because it explains it all. Yeah. These books, the spell is so hard to describe, but we'll get to that at the end. Anyway, there's a couple of things that I wrote down that reminded me of stuff. He goes back to the Pellerines camp, and it's been attacked, and there's survivors kind of cleaning up in the rubble and moving to another place. And Folia is the only one there that he meets that he still knows.
Yeah.
So we don't know what happened to all the suitors, but he does wrap up the story thing. I forgot. Folia tells him that in the face of the heinousness of what occurred here, spread their stories. She says, tell their stories. And that's how that part wraps up. Also, the dead soldier, Severian calls him Miles, because they walked for miles.
That's right. Miles Jonas is what he calls him.
Yeah. Yep.
Because he's Jonas too, is what he keeps saying.
Yeah.
And the guy, he says, what's your name? He says, I remember my name. He's like, what is it? He says, Miles. He's like, no, that's the name I gave you.
Yeah.
But he's sort of saying like, the name you gave me is my name.
Yeah.
You don't know if that's kind of the impression you have, or is it that he's just sort of like doesn't even realize that that's where the name came from.
Yeah.
Like there's not enough. It's great. I agree. I still don't understand the connection to Jonas precisely, but okay. There's something going on, but I didn't see it.
Absolutely.
We're back.
We took a break. It wasn't a break for you, but it was a break for us.
Break for us.
If you need to take a break, pause, because we're at the halfway point of the book.
Stay
here.
Hydrated.
And it's so crazy because I, as a first-time reader, like everybody I've ever talked to is like, I promise you, it's all figured out in the fourth book. Like everything's solved in the fourth book. And I was like, sweet. And I'm halfway through the book going, not damn thing has changed in my understanding of.
You're like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I learned that was most kind of epic and mind blowing is that the Kakujins are representing us in a galactic or universal environment,
Hmm.
and that we are in a weird exile. Is what he hinted at, is that Earth is in a weird exile, and that the Kakujins are fighting for us.
Hmm.
And that's all we kind of learn in the first book, or the first half of this book. But yeah, then we finally get the war stuff, and I'm going to be honest, this was the least interesting part for me, and only because I'm just not a big. This is why Lord of the Rings I have such a hard time, is all the big wars. The end of the Hobbit, I never really cared much for the end of the Hobbit. Once the dragon is slain, I'm like, there's the story. Um, and it's just because I don't like war stories, and a lot of people do like war stories. So I could be wrong on this, but yeah, this is a. I mean, he is recruited by a group of kind of a regiment.
Cavalry. Yeah,
Yeah,
cavalry. He joins the cavalry.
yeah. And there's an essay in here that I talk about on my video that was the most boring essay in here, where it's like 20 pages of Gene Wolfe going, "This is why they'll have cavalry in the future." I mean, that's the whole essay, is why they're going to have cavalry in the future. Um, he meets, there's some kind of redhead that he takes into a forest and makes love to.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a whole there's like this weird initiation where it's like they try to attack him and he gets that he's successfully initiated. He comes out ahead there, ends up becoming almost like a lieutenant, like a second in command.
yeah,
Um and yeah, so he sort of joins that and they do some fighting. And then I
yeah.
guess
My notes say there is a battle and Severian is wounded. Like
boy,
all
that
that
skips ahead.
stuff I wrote
Yeah.
way, but yeah,
So
there is stuff. We get some Island of Dr. Moreau guys, don't we? The animal hybrids.
yeah, so we get so after he joins them, they do a little fighting, and then there's a moment when they find this sort of coach that has gold in it, and it's guarded by
Tons.
these sort of dog men. There's sort of like a mix between humans and dogs, and
And
they
we've
work for
seen
the
these before, and they've been brought up before. Yeah, this genetic engineering of humans with animals.
yeah, and so there's this weird, difficult situation where the regiment that Severian is with was trying to get this coach. There's some Ascians who are trying to get it, but they battle each other trying to. This coach is like stuck, and of course the dogmen who are in the coach um, don't want anybody to come near it. So it's like a
Yeah, and
three-sided battle.
yeah, because I feel like the regiment he's joined isn't really following orders a lot, because it
They're
seems
kind of
like
doing their thing. I mean, they're like, well, we got to
they
do we
seem like
fight
they kind of want. They're like, we need that gold to continue doing our thing for
right.
the Autarch.
and and then those three groups are then there's some what would you like defectors from the Autarch's army who sort of surround all of them, and so now they think they're all going to get killed, and then they make a deal with the Ascians
To
and the
fight the
dog
deserters.
yeah and to the dog and the dogmen to all team up and fight their way out. They do. The leader of the Severians regiment decides to turn on the Ascians at the last minute, and after they break free, they kill them. And then some angels show up that are like part of the Autarch's army,
Yeah,
and
they made
they
me think of Valkyries. They're
yeah
superior technology. They
yeah
fly over the battlefield. I think they were specifically watching the coach, right?
pretty much
Yeah,
the head of the regiment is like, oh, he's like, did you know they were going to show up? And Severian's like, not really. He's like, well, it makes sense because of all that money that was in that coach.
yeah,
He's like, it's a good thing that we were fighting the Ascians when they showed up
yeah.
instead of working
Seriously.
with them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, it's probably just for the best. Because Severian's like, well, thanks for not killing me when I was up there, because you could have killed me and killed all the dogmen at the same time and just gotten the gold. He's like, yeah, it's probably for the best. If we had gotten that gold, we would have ended up killing each other over it.
Yeah,
We would have.
there's kind of a bromance that I
Yeah.
feel like is happening with this regiment captain and Severian. More on the regiment captain's side. I feel like this guy really is like, Severian, you're awesome.
Yeah, you're cool.
Yeah, you could be a
I want
leader,
you to be my
bro.
bro.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. So they decide to actually do something the Autarch wants them to do, which is, I think, just go start fighting, right? They're
yeah,
just gonna
they go to like the main, yeah, they join like the battle. They don't
yeah,
not exactly at the front, but they see all the other Autarch troops, and which are like this myriad of like strange different things. There's guys, there's like master blaster stuff going on, right? With the little guys on big
yeah,
guys' shoulders.
yeah. There's somebody has these huge guns.
Right, yeah.
Um,
There's guys who are like weird, like acrobat, like riding horses type stuff. You get,
those are
you
all
know.
women.
Oh, that's right.
And
That's right.
Severian's attracted to one, and he's like, psh, it's whoever he's talking to is like, you couldn't handle him. I think it's the redhead. It was like, let me tell you how these women live, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
intense. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So we get this sort of like a parade almost or of troops, and we talk about some battle. And I agree that it's interesting, but not much is happening. And it's not, well, I say that the descriptions are different and creative, but not really doesn't really like tell you much about the narrative. I don't think we really learn anything in depth about these different cultures or anything like that.
no, and I was entertained.
Yeah.
I was entertained. I was still going, my God, I'm like 2/3 through the book now, and I
You're like,
still
what
don't
is this?
know what's going
Like,
on.
what is going on?
Yeah.
And then, like you said, he gets hurt. Something happens. He gets attacked. His regiment's like destroyed, or was, I don't know. The fighting gets really intense. He's separated. His horse gets killed. He passes out. He wakes up. His leg is all screwed up. It's trapped under a horse. He's almost in as bad a shape as he was at the beginning of the novel, or and definitely in very bad shape.
Yeah, he's dying. He's all
Yeah.
messed up. Yeah. Yeah, and suddenly a snout pokes at him, and he looks up, and there's like a huge elephant-like creature,
Hmm.
and it picks him up and puts him on its back, and the freaking Autarch is riding this
It's
elephant.
the Autarch
And then
riding his elephant.
we take off, and
And then
then
it's like, you want to know some stuff? Just wait. Buckle up,
yeah,
buddy.
yeah, seriously. Let me look at
Because
my
it's like the
notes
next
here.
3 or 4 chapters, it's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Yeah, because right away we learn that Severian has been chosen to be the next Autarch, and not by the Autarch.
Mm-mm.
Like somebody, some group, their job is to figure out who's supposed to be the next Autarch. I don't know what this group is. Don't know if they're
I can't
human or
remember.
alien.
Yeah.
But there's a group that's like, okay, this person is slotted to be the next Autarch, and that is Severian. And the Autarch's like, I've got this thing of albazo. Is that the right word for those
Yeah.
things?
Yeah.
Albazo juice. So if I understood it correctly, when the Autarch, in order to transfer the Autarchness, Severian has to drink that and then take a bite out of the Autarch, right?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, he has to
Oh, he has
imbibe
to
this
eat a part of his brain.
part of his brain. Because you
Yeah.
need to select, because the where you get your tissue from matters. So it, like
Yeah.
when he ate Thecla, he ate like, I don't know, part of her thigh or something like that.
Yeah.
And but a better translation is to get the right tissue, and it's the brain in this case.
And it turns out in a very Dune-esque moment that there or even an Avatar-esque moment that all the Autarchs have been partaking in each other
Mhm.
in this way. So the Autarch is like, you got one person inside you, psh, I got like hundreds, bro.
Right.
And when you eat this part of my brain, you're gonna have hundreds in you.
And
Um,
Severian, though, he's kind of like, well, I don't know. He seems like he says that, but Severian's just like, well, I don't know about that. Like he
yeah,
doesn't really seem like he's really on board with doing any of this. He's kind of like, well, why would I do that? Why am I the next thought? He's kind of questioning it and not really sure.
yeah.
Um,
And then if you think that's weird, the Autarch puts him in a spaceship.
that's right. They get in a flyer.
Oh no. No, the part I'm thinking of doesn't happen yet. They get in a flyer. He takes him to the north, and they're looking at all the armies of the north. And the Autarch is like, dude, here's how I govern. I am many different people to different people. So, for instance, I'm the head of an underground organization, a crime organization. You've met me. That is the me that you met at the brothel. So the Autarch pretends to run that brothel, but that's where he keeps all the information about the crime underground in wherever they are. Where are they? What's the name of the nation? I don't know.
I don't remember offhand. It's okay.
Yeah. And he says, but also, like, Vodalus thinks that I'm the mole that
Right.
Vodalus thinks is in the Autarch Citadel. It's me, the Autarch. I'm the mole.
I'm the mole for myself.
Yeah, which we met him as that in
Right.
I think Conciliator. Yeah, the end of Conciliator. Yeah, he meets him
so.
when he goes into the painting. So he's like, Vodalus sent me, and he's like, okay, also I'm the Autarch. Because he's always been honest with Severian, because he knows that Severian's going to be the next Autarch, but Severian doesn't.
He said when Severian first met him in the house Azure that he was told that night, somebody, I can't remember who he said, but so-and-so told me that night that you were the next one.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah. So then they're flying over the north, and something attacks them, and they crash, and it almost kills the Autarch. Severian is even more severely messed up. And then it turns out that this is Vodalus and Ascia.
Well, they come to the response. They respond to the SOS.
Oh yeah, the North shoots them down.
Yeah, I think and so I think the Ascians shoot them down, or maybe, and then there's a whole thing where Ascia and Ascia saves him.
Yeah, because the Autarch's like, bro, eat. Come on, let's do this. Do this thing right now. Become the Autarch. And he's like, whoa, hold on. And yeah, Ascia shows up, and Ascia and somebody else. Oh, her buddy that was a sailor on the sky. Yeah, that has all the scary. In fact, I think he brings a beast to save him.
So I think so.
Yeah, Hathor has a ton of alien life at his command.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of stuff going on. I mean, a whole menagerie.
Yeah, and Ascia has basically made a deal with Vodalus that she's going to bring back Severian, because he has some questions he's got to ask Severian. And Ascia's like, okay, but when you're done asking your questions, he's mine. Because go ahead.
This is really interesting. And when I because I did reread this section, and it's really interesting because when she brings Severian back to Vodalus, he's like, who's this? And she's like, oh, this is the guy that we made a deal that I would, because I think her deal is that Vodalus gets to have the abilities of Hathor, like Hathor's bestiary or whatever.
Oh, nice.
So he gets those abilities, and the exchange is that she gets Severian, and she's like, this is the guy. And he's like, okay, so why am I looking at him? And then that's when Severian realizes Ascia, and he turns around, and that's when she hits him with this.
Yeah.
She's got some kind of a claw. Like, I get the impression that it's almost like one of those claw ninja things or something.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
But somehow it's like worse than that, because he says it should have killed him, but it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, she he is so beat up, dude. Like, Severian's barely alive. It's crazy.
But what's weird is that Vodalus doesn't want Severian. She sort of gives him Severian, and then is mad about
he wants Severian for one conversation.
Yes.
So he says, let me have him for this conversation. And the conversation blows Severian's mind and mine as well. And he says, dude, who's the Autarch? And
Yeah.
Severian's like, not me. And he's like, yeah, no shit, not you. Who's the Autarch? And
He
he's
says,
like,
oh, there was a third person in the ship, and he describes Dr. Talos,
yeah,
which I
yeah.
loved.
Yeah, he's like, that's the Autarch.
Yeah.
And he realizes like Vodalis really doesn't know who the Autarch is, because
He's like,
they've
oh,
got the
really?
Autarch like
Well,
almost
that's
dead
super interested.
with them.
He's like, already, yeah, you have the Autarch in prison right
Yeah.
now. Doesn't even know. Yeah, so the little aside that I was realizing is that Aja like doesn't like she doesn't want to kill Severian because she
Oh
keeps
no,
having the chance
I
and
felt
she
like
keeps
she
refusing. She
did.
keeps putting she like creates barriers so she can't.
Oh,
She wants to like
interesting. Because she says, I want to torture you for as long as possible. And
kind of, but I don't know that she even realizes what she's doing.
interesting. I like that.
It's really strange because I was like, because Vodos is like, why did you bring this guy? He doesn't even know that this was supposed to be anything until Asha like is telling him. So she could have just been like, boom, he's dead. We're done.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
But she's like, oh no, here he is. And then she's like, give him to me. And then well, I'm jumping ahead, but it's just really fascinating Aja's motivations.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they throw him in a room and he's really sick, and they have a doctor that helps him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, that happens before the conversation with with Vodalis.
I think so. I think there's a little bit of that. Yeah, he gets to heal up a bit.
Yeah, then he goes, talks to Vodalis. Vodalis is like, who's the Autarch? And he's like, Dr. Talos. And then is this when Green Man shows up, or is there more conversation about Asia? And
not yet, because Vodalis takes Severian with him to go talk to the Ascian leaders.
Oh yeah.
Because Vodalis works for the Ascians.
Yeah. Vodalis. Vodalis. That might be his army that he's trying to push against the Autarch. Yeah.
Yes. So he takes Severian to like this council. It's not the Council of 17, I don't think. No, this is like someone in charge of like the local operation, like a general or something.
Yeah.
Or a council of generals. And so they ask Severian questions like, "Are you the Autarch?" And Severian, but he can't understand quite what they're saying. Right. Vodalis has got to get annoyed with him. He's like, "Come on." He's like, answer the question. And he's like, "What question?" And he's like, "Are you the Autarch?" He's like, "No." And he's like, "Do you really expect me to answer that truthfully, though?"
Right. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And then Vodalis like, this conversation is being transmitted to the north or something like that. He says he's like, this what we're saying right now is being recorded and sent to someone else who's listening in. And it ends up that the Ascians are like, this guy's ours. We're keeping him.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they're like, there's no more, and they're like, there's no more discussion about it. And Vodalis is like, okay, well, whatever. I didn't care about this guy anyway. He's like, well, see you later. And I think there's some interesting stuff too, where Vodalis says like he kept Aja from killing Severian like before they went there,
right?
And he's like, Severian's like, well, I kept you from I saved you from getting killed by a guy with an axe a long time ago. He's like, and Vodalis like, aren't you going to thank me? And Severian says, well, you never thanked me. You gave me a coin. Let me see if I have one. And he starts digging through his pockets to give Vodalis a coin. And Vodalis like, all right. And I think you really see now that Severian like is no longer enamored with Vodalis. He isn't like he had stars in his eyes about Vodalis for a long time.
Yeah.
He did not have that anymore. He even questions the stuff. He's like, I lied to him. And that's when I realized I really didn't care about this guy and what he was doing anymore.
Right.
It's so good.
For some odd reason, I wrote page 186 in my notes.
Okay. I don't know. I can't look that up because my book is different than yours.
I'm going to just start reading here.
Okay.
Thus I shifted the actions of the magicians and the man who had accosted me outside the jackal of the sick girl and of many other men and women I had known seeking for a key that would unlock all hearts. I found none that could be expressed in few words. Men and women do as they do because of thus and so. None of the ragged bits of metal fit the desire for power, the lust of love, the need for reassurance, or the taste for seasoning life with romance. But I did find one principle, which I came to call that of primivity, that I believe is widely applicable, and which, if it does not initiate actions, at least seems to influence the forms that action takes. I might state it this way: because the prehistoric cultures endured for so many chiliads, they have shaped our heritage in such a way as to cause us to behave as if their conditions obtained today. For example, the technology that once might have permitted Baldanders to observe all the action of the hetmans of the lakeside village had been dust now for thousands of years, but during the eons of its existence, it laid upon him a spell, as it were, by which it remained effective, though no longer extant. In the same way, we all have in us the ghosts of long vanished things, of fallen cities and marvelous machines. The story I once read to Jonas when we were imprisoned, with how much less anxiety and how much more companionship, showed that clearly, and I read it over again in the ziggurat, the author having need for some sea-born fiend like Erebus or Abaya in a mythical setting, gave it a head like a ship, which was the whole of its visible body, the remainder being underwater, so that it was removed from protoplasmic reality and became the machine that the rhythms of his mind demanded. When I amused myself with these speculations, I became increasingly aware of the impermanent nature of Vodalus's occupation of the ancient building. Though the leech came no more, as I have said, and Augia never visited me again, I frequently heard the sound of running feet. And okay, I don't need to read all that. This is where I love this idea of kind of genetic memory of technologies long past. And he uses the story, which you and I pondered over so long, as a retelling of the maze and the Minotaur, but was this weird ocean maze where this god had the head of a boat. And the whole time I was reading that, I was thinking to myself, oh, this is the way they understand boats. And this kind of, and his thoughts here kind of echoed it, but in reverse, where it said they needed a monster, but they also needed an explanation for what these boat things were that people used to have. The memory of that technology was there, and Baldanders was able to see whatever the lake people were doing, but in the past they were able to do that all the time with technology, and that became the desire, the need, the knowledge that that could exist became like a kind of magic for Baldanders. And I think for me, this became a huge crux of this story, of the idea that we're reading way into the future, and that we can't distinguish what they can do from magic. But all that they can do is because of the technology that we created before them. I don't know. It was that place really, really stuck with me.
Yeah. There's a line somewhere else in this book, I think, where he says something like science, and maybe it was Ash that said, like, science and tech and and like magic are really the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh no, science and faith, science and religion are the same thing, because they believe the same thing. And there's this idea that, like, you have faith in the technology that you use, that it will work a certain way, even though, like, what it would take to understand it is like thousands of years of tiny little advances. And that's sort of where we live with, the person who discovered electricity, and the person who discovered the circuit board, and who discovered silicon circuits. So, all the different technology, and who invented code, and the person who made who made this structure. I don't know. So it's like we are sort of living with, like, these millennia of, like, years of human thought, like, all over us. They're everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This is
Wild.
cool. Yeah, it's wild.
It's really cool. It really
It
is.
is. It's super cool.
Yeah.
It's so well, and that paragraph. I remember reading it. It is dense, and it's like you have to think about that for a while. But such a profound thought and way to express it.
Yeah. Yeah, because the idea of genetic memory is pretty modern,
Hmm,
which means Gene Wolfe was on top of it back in the day, man.
for sure.
This idea that generations of stuff happening a certain way. I mean, it's is our kids better at computers, right? Early on in their life now because we got good at computers at the middle of ours, or are they just good because we hand them to them right after they're born? Like, is there genetic memory there?
Hmm.
Are my child's kids going to be born with a predisposition for understanding the technology that came before them? It's a wild thought. It really
Yeah.
is. I
Yeah, you could
really
say,
enjoy it.
yeah, like if a modern person is just has an easier time learning language than someone 2,000 years ago. Maybe
Right.
and so we're better at communicating, which gives, because of genetic memory. And, we're just sort of like, hey, people who are good at communicating uh, populate more. And so that's why the earth has more people that know about communication exist. And so we've
Yeah.
become better and better and better and better at it in that sense, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's
Interesting. Good job,
exactly
Gene Wolfe.
but it's,
So,
it's, it's really fascinating.
so the Ascians take the Autarch and Severian and throw them in a cell,
Yeah.
a tent cell, and he tries to.
Okay.
Yeah, he can't like cut the material.
Yeah, it's some weird, but he can't lift the edge of the tent, and he can't cut
Yeah,
it. He can't like claw his way through it either or anything. He's just like,
yeah, and
whatever this fabric is, it's better. The Ascians have better technology.
they do,
Actually.
they do. And the Autarch's like, all right, Severian, I'm dying. We gotta do this. And he has a knife on him. And he's like, drink this and eat this part of my brain. And Severian goes through with it. And we get this really hallucinatory, trippy moment where Severian is suddenly hundreds of people.
Hmm.
And his own personality, his own identity is completely blitzed by all these identities that are added to him. And it's during this stupor that the green man comes
Mhm.
back to him. And I remember a long time ago, Virgil, I was like, and then he meets this green guy that is like an alien, I think. And there's no reason, like he
Yeah,
just
what are those guys doing?
he gives him something to escape and then walks away. And you were like, oh, he's important. And here we find out his importance. This was all the way back in the Claw of the Conciliator. He's in this big town and there's like a circus going through, and he walks into a tent. He pays some money and walks into a tent and sees a green alien. And the green alien hints that he's traveling through time. And Severian's like, well, nobody should have to be a slave, and gives him this thing that allows them to escape. And he says, I'll pay you back someday. And so straight up, he's been traveling through time, this green alien, and he's like, bam, now's my moment. I get to save you.
He
Um,
just burst in the scene. He's like, all right, here we
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm excited to reread that part because I feel like he might have said, I've
oh,
already paid you back.
yeah,
Like,
I think he says we've met before. Does he say something like we've met before
yes.
or something? And you're like, okay.
Yeah, like the aliens already traveled and paid him back and all kinds of crazy stuff because he can go forward and backwards through
Yeah.
time. So so he shows up with Agia.
Aja, yeah. Aja
Yeah,
on some sort of a giant bird or something. I
some
can't
one
remember.
of what's his name's
Headless
alien
monsters,
creatures.
yeah. One of those
Yeah,
weird alien animals.
and they can get him through the tent, and off they go. And you're right. Again, Agia is like, I'm not going to. I'm saving you so I can kill you harder later.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna
Which
get one of these times.
Right, which is the we think she doth protest too much moments. You're right.
Yeah.
It is interesting. that she's not just getting it over and done with. And then this is the part that I was thinking of. This was, of course, for me, the weirder it is, the more my bread and butter it is. He ends up on a beach, and some Kakujan spaceship lands, and there's like a guy that gets out. I can't
Mhm.
remember. It's just a
Mas-
fella.
It's oh, well, isn't it Master Malrubius?
Yes, it's his old master.
Who's,
Yes.
who's been just dead for a long time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and he's like, "Get on the spaceship, and we
And
gotta."
also, who does Master Malrubius have with him? Do you remember?
I don't.
Tricycle
Oh,
the
the
dog.
dog. Yeah,
Tricycle the
Tricycle the
dog is
dog.
there.
Yeah.
And Severian's like, okay, so Tricycle kind of makes sense, but he's like, but you're dead.
Right. Well, and this is they start to really push the concept that Severian is waking people up from the dead, not the claw, because the dog is dead on a pile of dead animals when Severian finds him. He's remembering all this on this
Yeah.
spaceship.
We get a flashback to when he discovered Tricycle. We get a little bit of that. I think that might come a little bit later, but we get that. I know at some point.
But this kind of mind fuck of a
It,
spaceship ride where they're
yeah.
like, okay,
And
you're the
Master Rubius
Autarch.
is like, by the way, let's go ahead and get down some facts. He's like,
Yeah, you're the Autarch. And what you're going to do, what the Autarch does that is important, is you are going to fly out to space. And he's presenting it as if he's going to do it right now. So I was like, oh shit, here we go. He's like, you're going to fly like farther than like out of the galaxy, out of the solar system here. You're going to go to some big ass place, and you are going to represent humanity, all of humanity, and you are going to be judged. And depending on the judgment, you will either are they going to kill him?
it's no, I don't think so. I think it's if he's found worthy,
Then
then he can
humanity joins the galactic
community
empire.
and Severian will bring back the new sun.
Yes,
And
yes.
but if not, he will still live, but he will not be able to sire any children. He'll be like the last Autarch,
Yes.
kind of like a Munich or something like that.
Eunuch.
Munich, sorry.
Yeah. Munich
Munich
is
is, I don't know
found in
what Munichs
Germany.
are. Wait, what are the things? What are the icks? Sorry. Anyhow.
We've been doing this for 3 hours.
It's been a long time, okay?
2 hours we've been here.
So so if he fails, then he'll come back that way. And I think he's given the option. He doesn't have to do it, but that it's important and it needs to be done because the
They need the new
the sun
sun.
is dying. The sun is, that's kind of what Master Ash says. Like, this ice future it's in the future. It's 1,000 or more years away, but it's not a long ways in the future.
Right. Yeah, you guys are almost done. Which, of course, this is a
these are
dying
the
Earth
final
story.
days, so to speak, and figuratively, but
Yeah.
So it's this great conversation about like, this is a quest that you have, and they have this great talk about what the new sun is. And Master Rubia says a couple things I loved.
Yeah, let's hear them. Because I was confused and rereading and going, "What the hell?"
There's a lot. There's a lot that happens. That's like that. Those conversations are dense. There's a lot happening. He says that he serves the Hyrule, which is the other word for Kagajan.
Right.
It's the good word for it. Oh no, he says, I serve those that the Hyrule serve. I don't serve them. He says, do you even know what Hyrule means? It means holy slave or something like that. And so there's this idea of it being like this higher divinity, there's higher reality or something that they're serving, or is higher. It's hard to say exactly what is explicitly meant, although you could obviously make religious references, and I think that's kind of what we're going for, but it's not. But there's a weird, like, science fiction-y slant to it. You're not sure if this is, this whole idea of the like a divinity is not quite clear. I don't quite think that we're explicit. I think it's rightly so. He's not saying it's God, you know.
Right. No,
This
he's
is
doing the
There's
same
more
thing.
of a science fiction slant to that.
Yeah.
It's not
He's
like
he's doing the same thing he does with magic. Is this magic or technology?
right. Is it
And
like
here we're getting, is this faith or technology?
is it, you know, it could be that this is like a higher consciousness,
Yeah.
like humanity, because there's a talk about if humanity can do this, then we will achieve us. We can't go back to the stars unless we can synthesize together. If we can all join together, and then we can go back. There was some talk about that.
Yeah. Before we get too far into this, right away, what's explained to him is that the tripod, is that his name? Tricycle.
Tricycle. It doesn't look
Tricycle.
like tricycle, but that's how they say it.
Yeah, Tricycle and his master that's died are called Aquastors. There's this ship has an AI machine in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no it has created what it calls Aquastors. I don't know if that's how you say that,
I don't remember.
of Tricycle and Severian's old master, because the machine is reading his mind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a Contact by Carl Sagan type of situation. The machine is presenting him with the things that will make him the most comfortable, because the machine's about to jack a bunch of knowledge into his brain. So Severian is still tipsy from the 100 new personalities got.
Right.
This AI robot picks him up, flies him up, downloads the secrets of the universe into his brain.
Right. The secret of time.
Yeah, the secret of time. And tells him, hey, man, there's this trial. We got to give you this knowledge, and then you got to pass this trial. It's up to you. Yeah, the way I wrote it is he will face there's a trial he'll face on another planet far away, and if he is judged worthy, the sun will become a black hole or a white fountain, and Earth's penance will be done, and humanity will rejoin the spacefaring civilization.
Mm-hmm. So like he says, Master Malrubius says, you know about black hole, but he doesn't say black holes, but he says, you know about these black pits in space.
Yeah.
There are white fountains of creation that are the opposite, and we will put a small one in the sun, and then the earth will have a sun like it had before humans existed.
The new sun.
Right. It'll be like literally a brand new sun. Like this is like a literal new sun.
And if not, it'll become a pit in space. Which some suns do become black holes, right? Not all suns, but some do. So I don't know. Yeah.
There's a little bit of stuff that him and Master Malrubius talk a little bit about, like the conciliator and the new sun. And one of they say a couple things that I really liked, which was I think Master Malrubius says, which does humanity need more, justice and peace, or a new sun? And then Severian's sort of like, well, having known people, you know, who are in captivity, who we've like held captive and had to torture, that, you know, what you want first is like those basic humanity needs, like warmth, shelter, safety, like that. And then they talk about he says something like rain and sunlight are greater than mercy and charity, or the symbols of rain and sunlight would degrade what they symbolize. So in other words, if mercy and charity were more important than rain and sunlight, then we would use them to represent the sun, not the sun to represent them.
Yeah.
How the symbol, like what rain and sunlight are more valuable than the concept of mercy,
because we use them as an analogy. Yeah.
And it was
to describe the other.
It's such a cool little conversation. That whole chapter is like amazing, right? It's just so good.
Yeah, and I think in the end, what I took from it is, you know, if you pass this, here's the knowledge of the universe. If you pass this, we'll kickstart your sun. If you don't, your sun's going to become a black hole.
Well, if you don't, then you go back as a eunuch, and then hopefully the next guy can do it.
Right.
We've only got so many chances. Like,
right.
We're on a timeline. So,
but if you pass, Earth rejoins starfaring civilization.
Right.
And I
A
think
new era.
that's kind of the most important, that Earth is a backwoods, ignorant, dying place with backwards, ignorant people on it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason, and this was really interesting to me because it says Earth will be done if you pass. Earth will be done with its penance.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what Earth is doing its penance for, but something occurred that got Earth kicked out of this starfaring organization, or culture, which they used to be a part of.
I don't remember. I want to say there were probably clues in the third book, in that conversation he has with that noble woman where she recounts the past history. I want to say there's clues in there, but I can't.
Yeah, we got to
I want
remember
to say
this
there's
on
clues
reread.
elsewhere in the book, but I don't know what they are. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question.
Before we reread these, we got to watch these videos just so we know.
I
We got
totally
to
know what
know.
you mean.
Yeah, we got to
Like,
know what we're
wait a minute,
wondering.
what was I? Because sometimes you have this really like, yeah, what about this? And then you're like, oh, that is a really good.
Yeah,
I
because
said
you
something smart.
forget that stuff.
I said a smart thing.
But yeah, that to me is kind of the pinnacle of understanding in
Mhm.
this book. That is everything. And I mean, like, the big spoiler is Earth is dying and used to be very technologically advanced, could travel through time and space like the rest of the universe culture can, but for some odd reason got in trouble and got kicked out. And there's only one alien species that's representing them, the Kakojins, and that they're trying to set it up so that Earth can be re-entered into this galactic civilization.
Yeah.
That's the simplest of it, and it seems pretty straightforward, but it's not, and that's the brilliant power of Gene Wolfe,
Right.
is that given this concept in any other hands, like if you give this to Frederick Pohl, I don't know why I'm picking on Frederick Pohl, it would be very straightforward.
Yes.
It would just be explained at the beginning, and then it would be the story of a man fighting to stand up for the his culture. Whereas this is so trippy and weird. And I want to say, I said this in the video about this, but I'm going to say it right here because it really fits here. Gene Wolfe in this talks about this book like it is like the symbolism in this book is super easy to understand. In these essays, he's like, yeah, it's obviously, and all the rose symbolism. I'm like, fucking rose symbolism. Like he talks about it like this is the easiest thing to understand. And I think that that's the real power of this book, is that Gene Wolfe looked his unique perspective of the world and his unique perspective of storytelling to him seems like the most normal way to tell stories, and it's not. It is the most backwards ass, trippy, strange way to tell stories. Nobody writes like this. I
Oh
have
yeah.
never ever had an experience like this. I mean, Murakami blew my mind with Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World because I had to work my ass off to figure out the riddle. This shoots past that in weirdness so much, but it's all there. And the craziest thing about it is Gene Wolfe teaches you how to read the last two books through the first two books.
That's right.
And oh my god, it is wild. Like, and there's no amount of words we can tell you that will explain to you this experience. And if you read the first book and you hate it and you give up, you're not going to get the experience, and that's okay. That's
Yeah.
everybody's choice. But I would love to talk to somebody that read all four of these and hates them.
Right. I think that's a good point. You know, it's like it's difficult to, you know, we've said this so many times, but it's really one big book, not that that's divided into four parts,
Yeah,
not four books in a series. It's not a
right.
series. It's one big book.
Yeah,
And I think it is really rewarding, and I think there's some people will say, "Oh, I got so far," and it's like, well, I mean, what would you say if you only read, like
The
one book?
first quarter of a book.
Yeah, like the first quarter, or something.
Yeah.
I think again, I can understand some people's criticism, and I know we haven't got to the end of this yet, but I know that there was some talk in earlier videos we talked about where people said this book doesn't really seem to have a purpose or a point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I totally disagree. I mean, I was a
Yeah.
little hesitant to be too direct at that time because it's been too long since a reread. But when I finished this book, I'm like, well, that's just I don't think that holds water at all to me. I
Yeah.
mean, this book is very definitely saying certain things that I think are very obvious. Like it's almost like written on in like in spray paint, like on graffiti on the wall, like so obvious in some ways. Like this is
Yeah.
what this book is about.
The plot is not difficult.
No.
The plot is not difficult. I remember talking to my brother when I was halfway through Shadow of the Torturer, the first one. And I was like, calling him, I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on with this book. I'm so confused. And he's like, was there a twist? And I was like, I think the twist is that it's Earth in the future. And I'm like, that can't be it. That is it. That's it. That's the twist. And the other twist is what we've already said over and over again. There's a galactic civilization that Earth got kicked out of that it could become a part of. That is not the magic of the book.
Mm-mm.
This isn't, oh my God, I never saw that coming.
That's like the plot, right? Like
that's the plot.
That's
Plot is simple.
That's not the theme.
No,
that's not the
plot is simple. The magic of this book is the same magic that's in The Dying Earth. I think that Vance tinkered with this magic, and Gene Wolfe loved that book so much that he's like, wait, I get it. Because the book is about trying to read a text from a culture you don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you read of it, the more your brain is trained to understand the text from this culture you don't understand. And it's so fun because Gene Wolfe got to have the most magical realism fun he could, because he's like, you don't understand this culture because it's so far in the future. You don't understand the technology they have that they don't have. You don't know what's magic. You don't know what's not. Like he freaking eats Thecla and she lives inside his head.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gene Wolfe had to come up with this. And it looks like magic, but it's not. It's an excretion from an alien thing. That's the joy of this book. The joy of this book is to go, what is going on with this weird ass shit? And then one book later go, oh, and the whole time you're going, oh my God, when I reread that, oh my God, when I reread that. And that's where this concept of you start Gene Wolfe's Book of the New Sun on your first reread. And I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. And I feel like The Dying Earth feels similar to me. I've only read the first one. I'm afraid to read the second, the Cudgel's, the Eyes of the Otherworld.
Eyes of the Overworld, yeah.
Because I'm afraid that is going to become more sword and sorcery style fantasy instead of the fantasy that I dealt with in book one, which is what I want.
Book one is the most similar to this. The other books are I have great enjoyment from them. I will say, yeah. So your mileage may vary. I like them. They are different. Yeah. And I think that if you're worried about that, then that might be a reason to say maybe some other time.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm saying maybe some other time, because I'm telling you what, Virgil, that first one, I love it.
That was literally Gene Wolfe's Brown book, his Book of Gold. That was
his Book of Gold. Exactly.
He literally says that somewhere, that was his book.
I'm going to read the first part of this right here.
All right.
I did this in the other video as well. I'm sorry to do that, but I'm going to do it. There was a time when I could put the palm of my hand flat on the front of a tattered paperback called The Dying Earth and feel the magic seeping through the cardboard. Turgeon of Mere, Leanne the Wayfarer, Tsace, Chun the Unavoidable. Nobody I knew had so much as heard of that book, but I knew it was the finest book in the world. In the first volume of the Book of the New Sun, the old librarian, Master Olton, says such a child eventually discovers on low some low but obscure shelf the Book of Gold. You have never seen this book, and you will never see it, being past the age at which it is met. It must be very beautiful, says Severian. It is indeed. Unless my memory betrays me, the cover is of black buckram, considerably faded at the spine. Several of the signatures are coming out, and certain of the plates have been taken, but it is a remarkably lovely book. I wish that I might find it again. And in the fourth volume, Severian muses, perhaps I have contrived for someone the Book of Gold. And I didn't catch any of that in my first read through. Obviously, you did, because you just said it was his Book of Gold. So you're familiar with this concept.
Yeah. So he said, I've seen something where he said that that was for him where it was. And yeah. And then for me, when I read this book the first time, although I didn't derive a lot from it. It's awesome. As much depth from it that first read, but it didn't, even though I didn't derive all the depth in that initial read when I was like 17 or something, this was totally my Book of Gold. Like for me, when I read it, I was like, I don't even understand everything I just read, but I loved every second of it. I would read like one chapter and close the book, even though I had more time to read, and just think about what I read.
Yeah.
It was so great. And I didn't want to, and I guess I have this thing with things I really like. I'm a little nervous to like overuse them because I feel they'll wear out. Like songs that you love, you don't want to hear too many times.
Exactly.
Because you can't hear it right anymore. I felt that same way about this book, but this has been such a good experience. I know we're not done, but it's been such a great experience.
Yeah, Constance said I just made this video for this, and I talked about all that in that video. And she said, you need to make that a hashtag. Hashtag Book of Gold, where every YouTuber should talk about their Book of Gold.
Oh, she's got the smarts.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna make a little video just calling out everybody, like what's your Book of Gold, man?
Right on.
Tell us about it, because I think that's an incredible idea, and hopefully you go first because yours is the one that we're talking about.
Fair enough.
But I see why this is yours. I get it. This was.
I found it at the right time, and it's not even when I would talk about it. I don't say that this is the best book I've ever read, but it's my favorite.
Yeah,
and there's a difference. I've read books that I know are probably better, and that I absolutely love, and I don't ever think about it as a competition, anyways. But this book is my favorite, and it was so good to reread it now this way and to think, man, it still holds up. It is an adult who's really reading it critically. It's still there. It still has all that magic and that power. It's still very rewarding.
Yeah. Awesome. And I think the reason that we just wrapped up all of this and we're not done, we still have about 40 pages to talk about, is because that is, in my opinion, the climax of this Book of the New Sun. Everything from here on out feels like a prologue.
It does. You're right. It really, it even almost says that.
Yeah. I think he's like, kind of as a prologue, I'm going to keep writing because
he's like, I got a little time left. I'm going to go ahead and keep going.
Yeah, because I know he wakes up on a beach and there's thorny bushes around him. And all the thorns look like the claw to him. And we get this sense that this bush is all the claw. And I'm not going to read this. On page 218 of the hardcover, he goes into this long explanation of the power that people put into the claw and his realization that maybe he was using the claw as like a vessel for his own power. That it is in fact Severian that was bringing people to life.
Yeah. I think maybe one of the last things I want to say too is that at some point in this, I don't know sure where in this reading of this fourth book, but I had this thought about the dog tricycle, and I thought, oh, that seems a kind of a crazy thought. Is that really true? And I went back and reread stuff in the first book. I don't have anything to quote, But I went back in the first book and reread that section, and honestly, I really feel like in some way Tricycle the dog is a sort of Christ-like figure. The Tricycle is like Christ imagery around him.
Oh,
And the reason I think this is, one, his name is Tricycle, meaning three, has a three reference in it, right?
okay, it's
Tricycle
three legs.
has three legs. Tricycle's ears are cut down to points, almost like a thorny crown.
Oh,
Um, there's some talk about Tricycle in this fourth book, about Tricycle sort of being like an icon or a symbol for all the suffering of different people that Severians encountered, like Dorcas's suffering, and I can't remember all the different people that he's seen suffer. You know, that he sort of represents that, and sort of is maybe the whole idea of like Christ coming to sort of like end suffering, right? And then he also talks about how when he met Tricycle, he didn't think it was very important, and how he was. There's this whole idea of like Tricycle raising from the dead being the first instance of that.
yeah,
Really in the book, even though we don't realize until the
no,
fourth book that that's what happened.
yeah,
So I just think there's something really going on there. Not saying that, and there's even a sense at the when Master Rubius and Tricycle are leaving, of like Tricycle going down the beach and Severian wanting to follow him as though he wants to follow this religious teacher or ideal. And I don't know that I'm saying that Tricycle is Christ, right? I'm not saying it's an overt Christian idea. I do still think that there's a lot of obscurity here, that we're still
yeah,
talking about a science fiction version, if you want to, or more of a meta or spiritualized sort of interpretation. But I definitely
yeah,
feel like there's some super importance with Tricycle in this message
yeah,
that was way back in the first book. If you reread
yep,
that section with Tricycle in the first book, I'm like, oh wow, this is already here. There's evidence in that first book.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so he gets on a boat. He's the Autarch. He slowly is kind of getting his identity back with these
Mm-hmm.
100 people and the knowledge of the universe in his brain. He goes to this weird kind of pirate town area, like these ruins that
Yeah,
are
it's sort of
very dangerous.
like the ruined part of Nessus. So Nessus is so big and it's like contracted. So there's like outlying areas of Nessus that are just ruined
Yeah,
and are just like
dangerous.
abandoned. And he
Yeah,
goes there to look for Dorcas.
yeah, and he finds her.
And he finds her, but he
Yep.
doesn't present himself.
No, no. In fact, after that, does he go back to the place where he fought with the flower and he finds the guy that tried to warn Dorcas about Asia, because it turns out Dorcas looked just like this guy's mother. He has a locket of it. Dorcas was wondering about her child. We think this guy's the child. Like, so much gets wrapped up.
It
He
is his
takes,
child.
yep,
You know the
it
other
is.
connection, right? Though you know that's not just that. There's another. You know the other connection.
I don't know. Tell me. I don't
Okay.
remember.
Well, so that guy is Dorcas's son, and that guy is also Severian's father.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Weird.
Which is really weird.
Weird.
Yeah,
You're
I
right.
know. I don't know.
It says all that. You're absolutely right. I
Right.
forgot
It
that.
doesn't ever say it explicitly exactly the way I said it, but it's like dot dot dot, and he's like, "There's a line that goes here, and there's a line that goes here." By the
Yep.
way, and you're like, "What?"
Yes. Yeah. So Dorcas might be his grandma.
Is his grandmother? I do not understand the significance of that connection. Like, I understand what it is, but why that is, what Gene Wolfe is maybe trying to say, I don't know.
Yeah. I forgot about that. You're absolutely
Isn't
right.
it crazy? It's
Yeah.
because it's so sly. It's like the whole book is so sly. It
Yeah.
slid in real quiet, and you're like, what?
But why? Um, yeah, you're right. So he takes his dad slash Dorcas's son back to this part of Nessus and hooks them back up, but he doesn't explain it. He's like, you got to protect her.
He doesn't explain anything to anybody.
No.
He never says anything about it. He knows, but they don't know.
Yeah, he's like, go protect this woman.
Mhm.
And he does. And then he goes back to the tower, and we end in a cyclical fashion, which I always enjoy. We end in the tower that we begin in. And of course, everybody's like super excited that the guy they know is the Autarch. And he's like, boy, they're going to hate it when I tell them that I'm closing this whole thing down, that we don't need torturers. They're all going to have to atone for a while. And then the guild is over. And that's, he shoots a fireplace with a laser pistol. I forgot what the hell was going on there.
Because he gave that to that innkeeper guy so he could protect.
Oh yeah. Yep. And there's a weird baby in a bottle. Like, what the shit?
That's right. That psychic like the imp
that lives in a room that nobody's been in for like generations.
Right.
Like there's just this kind of thing in a bottle that Severian starts talking to with his brain, because this thing is psychic. Yeah, it's all Gene Wolfe. It's all very weird. But yeah, all of that felt to me like a prologue. No, yeah, that's right.
Aftermath or
prologue, I think is the right no, prologue's before, right?
Yeah, I think it is, but
what's afterward? That all felt like
afterward, later word.
I know this word.
I know the word too, but
I can't think of it.
I think we already said it. We said it once. You guys, let's go back.
Epilogue.
There we go.
So I didn't read this yet. I do plan on reading this, but I wanted to wait and sit with this because these four with this nonfiction book is what Gene Wolfe initially produced. And like I said, the back of the Citadel of the Autarch says the Book of the New Sun is now finished. It says that across the back. Gene Wolfe was done. And I wanted to sit with it that way. And I'm going to say, for me, and I'm cool with vague endings, if this was the end, I'd still love this.
Yes.
If this was it, I'd be fine. Like I assume, and you can laugh at me, Virgil, I assume this is about the test. I assume this is about him going to space and doing the test. That's my assumption. The return of the new sun. That's my assumption, which is great. I'm going to enjoy the shit out of reading that. But this is genius, and this might add to the genius. And Moyd and everybody swears, like, just know this is a 5-book set, and you have to read the 5th book. And that apparently the 5th book answers a lot of questions. But honestly, in my opinion, the 4th book answers a lot of questions. Like, to me, Gene Wolfe has produced an incredible book. It's great. It ends beautifully. I'm not pissed by this ending at all. And I don't know if people were, and that's why Earth of the New Sun came out, or if Gene Wolfe was like, you know what, I'm not done, and just wanted to write more. I don't know, but this was not an ending that bothered me.
I don't know that we had to have another book. I think he definitely wanted to write more in that universe because he did.
Yeah, the short sun and
right. So he did, but I don't know that we had to have the Earth of the New Sun. But it's definitely not one of those cases where it's like cashing in on the success of something else. So like there's as much care put into that as there is in the first 4 books.
So. Okay.
So, which is cool.
Yeah, the way it was described to me is you're not going to understand anything if you don't read it, and I take umbrage with that. I don't think that's the case. I feel like you can understand a lot from this. Like this story feels complete to me, and I'm glad that I get to find out more about whatever Earth of the New Sun's going to tell me about. But yeah, I don't want to push the same idea that this is not a complete story without Earth of the New Sun, because I think it is a complete story without Earth of the New Sun, and Earth of the New Sun is part 2, and that's okay. It's the 2nd book. Yeah, and that's fine.
I agree. So, and something else too, I remembered the other thing, we talked a little bit about how Severian has himself has Christ imagery, and the fact that he wants to end
Absolutely.
suffering by ending the torturers is another sort of clue as to that image, right? Not that he
Yeah.
is that particular religious figure, but that's the energy that Gene Wolfe is using. That's the symbolism that he's using to tell this story. Got a question for you, Chris.
Okay.
Now that we're done, is Severian an unreliable narrator?
I don't think
This is
so.
a hot question that everybody always says it's
Yeah.
unreliable, right?
Yeah. And I don't understand why people kept saying that. Because as I read, I was like, okay, he's super reliable because this dude remembers everything, everything. So yeah, I always had a bit of a hard time understanding what they mean by the unreliable narrator, because when I teach the concept of unreliable narrator, it means that for some odd reason, this person, be it they are inebriated somehow or are liars, this person cannot be relied upon to tell the truth. And I feel like I saw one person bring up the idea that he's an unreliable narrator because he inherits a position of ultimate power. So the person's like, so of course he has to create an origin story for how he came. But while I agree with that, that makes sense to me. A person of power writing a biography is always going to be a little bit questionable. I don't think that's what Gene Wolfe was going for in this. I think
Mm.
Gene Wolfe was really truly just trying. And if we add that layer of, oh, he wants people to like him, so he's going to tell this story so that it benefits him, then the whole book becomes smoke.
Right.
Then there's no answers.
It
And
deconstructs everything. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't want to deconstruct it to that point. So, and I don't think Gene Wolfe did either. That's my guess.
Yeah.
But
Even I have that belief is prominent, and even I've fallen prey to that because even I kind of played into some of that energy in a video that I did.
uh-huh.
Trying to remember some things that I'd read. But yeah, in this read, I'm like, no, not very reliable narrator. The only thing you could say is that Severian presents the story the way that he experienced it, not as a person remembering it.
Right. So he was writing it at a point in his life where he could say, "Oh, by the way, I'm the Autarch. We have been kicked out of the galactic civilization," and like he could tell us all the answers
Yeah,
right
and
away.
we could have found out all that stuff in book one, like in like the first chapter. He could have said, "By the
Yeah.
way, Earth's in exile. This is the distant future. Blah
Right.
blah, yakety yak." But he doesn't
Yeah.
do any of that. He tells
Yeah.
it organically.
I don't think that makes him unreliable. And the thing that confused me about everybody saying unreliable is that I think Gene Wolfe, the textual evidence that I receive from this book is that he works very hard to tell us that Severian never forgets anything.
Hmm.
He's telling us this is the most reliable narrator I will ever give you. Right? I mean,
Right.
seriously, the only way I can say that he's an unreliable narrator is if people think he's lying for some odd reason. And I don't see any evidence that Gene Wolfe gives me in this book that he's lying. You're right. The only evidence I get is I'm going to tell you this story as I experienced it, not as I am looking back on it now. And
Right.
that's not unreliable. That's just telling plot in order.
Right. A good
Um,
storyteller.
yeah,
I'm not gonna give you the punchline to my joke before I tell you the joke. You know, it's like anything, it's like we're not going to reveal all the secrets of a narrative at the beginning, and then you just have
right.
to go through it. Like we're gonna create suspense,
Yeah.
and I'm also going to represent myself in that moment as to what I knew, not what I know objectively looking back on it.
It's weird because every comment that I get on this, every video I've watched, people talk about him as an unreliable narrator, and I don't know where that began.
I don't know either, and it got to me too because I totally mentioned that in one of my videos, maybe
Yeah.
two. But it's like, and I'm retracting that stuff because it's not true. It's not.
Yeah. 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 He's straight up to me seems like a reliable narrator.
Mhm.
Now, you can argue semantically that no person in power writing a biography can tell the truth, but that is, in my opinion, not the point of this book. I don't
Yeah.
think Gene Wolfe's making a statement, and I could be wrong,
I
and you
don't,
could be
I,
right. We can argue about what
yeah,
Gene Wolfe meant all we want because we don't know. Gene Wolfe
right.
passed away. Um, but what I see, I don't see any textual evidence that points me to him being an unreliable narrator. In fact, I see the opposite. I see
Yeah.
Gene Wolfe constantly reminding us that Severian remembers everything.
And
And
then,
that's why he's able to tell this story as if he's in each moment.
yeah. And then he's worth, I think he, and to earn our trust and to be trustworthy. And then,
Also, he tells
and there's,
about things that are embarrassing to him.
yeah.
Like that whole
So
thing with Jolenta, the part of this book that did not age well, that kind of hint at non-consensual sex with Jolenta,
is unflattering.
it's not flattering. Severian doesn't present himself as a perfect person
No.
throughout any of this at all.
And I think yeah. So I think that knowing that we can say that, yeah, he is he's as reliable as anyone can be when they're trying to be the most reliable.
Yeah, yeah,
So, I
yeah,
mean, if there's inaccuracies or whatever, well, then those inaccuracies are just inherent in being human.
yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I was confused by that the whole time I was reading this because I was waiting throughout this whole
The big
fourth
like bug
book.
pull where you're like, aha, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, and him becoming the Autarch. I mean, I think he mentions that in like book 2.
He mentions it in book 1.
Yeah, book 1, he tells us he's
He's
going to be the,
he's kind of it's kind of on the slide, but he basically he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm an autarch. He doesn't quite say like that, but
yeah, yeah. No, like I don't feel like I don't think he even hid it from us that much. Yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah. I'll never understand that. Does what does Albazo Soup say about it? Have you?
I don't know. Honestly, apart from our discussions, and that's really about it. I think I've read like one person who did a blog post because like earlier in our reading, I was kind of like, what is the theme of this book? What is the message, so to speak, of this book? And there's sort of a sense of it being like, well, it's a little muddy and this and everything. Because I was like, huh, but but that's it. I've not read or watched anything else.
I think if I did
Honestly,
a,
because I wanted this to be kind of pure.
yeah,
I don't want to take the puzzle. I don't want somebody else to give me the answers to this puzzle. I kind of want to find it myself, and I don't find that to be true at all. That there's no point. I think there's a very explicit point and a theme in the narrative. I absolutely do.
yeah, yeah. I'd like to. I think on my reread, I think I'm going to try out Albazo Soup or whatever they're called, Alzabo Soup, because apparently they just chapter by chapter. The question is, like, if you and I were to start a podcast, do a
Mhm.
reread and start a podcast, I'd want to read chapter 1 of Shadow of the Torturer and then have a conversation with you with full plot spoilers.
Yeah.
I
Well,
wouldn't.
we'd have to, yeah, like with all expressing everything that we already know. No,
Yeah,
like,
and I wonder if that's what Alzabo Soup does.
yeah. See, that's what
Albazo.
I always wonder. And we've talked about stuff like this before too, because it's like, well, somebody's already done that, but then the same conversation can be had about like, well, why should I talk about a Stephen King book?
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, well, I mean, there's room enough on the internet. We're certainly not. I mean, I think the only thing that would be bad form would be for us to watch their episodes and regurgitate it.
Right.
That
No,
would be
no.
terrible.
And
Which
I don't
I know neither one of us likes that idea at all because
no,
we have a lot of respect for.
and I don't even plan to make a podcast. I'm just wondering, all that was to wonder, are they doing this with full plot spoilers? Because if they're not, I don't want to watch. If Alzabo Soup is for somebody that's doing a first read,
Mhm.
then I'm already past that.
Yeah,
I would love. I hope Albazo. God, what the is this word?
Alzabo? Something. I don't know.
I hope that they are breaking down each chapter of every book with the full knowledge of having read the entire
I would
books.
think at some point that's what they would do because
Yeah,
I would think that would otherwise. How long would you keep your followers? At a certain point,
yeah,
you know, you've gone through all the book, and it's sort of like, okay, we read it. Now what?
yeah,
There's more to. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would think
Because like I mean, right away at the beginning, in the first chapter of Shadow of the Torture, he sees this really tall woman. And now we know that those are like got to be some kind of Kakujin influence. And I want to add, I had one last thought, and unfortunately I didn't write down a page, which I really wish I did. But the end of this, it might be him talking to the weird imp in the bottle. Gene Wolfe puts forth an interesting concept. And that concept is that all this time we think we're reading about humans. Just like we think we're reading about horses. They're not horses. They're destiers or whatever they're called. And they have 3 claws on each foot. And have obviously been genetic engineered into different beasts. So one of the important parts about reading this book is at first we see it as fantasy in our head, but Gene Wolfe slowly teaches us that this world is insane, that we need to imagine it as weird as it is. It's just like Lord of Light by Roger Zelazny. You can't just imagine it as fantasy. You have to imagine it as future tech, weird, magic, hybrid insanity. Can you imagine what David Lynch would have done with these books? Seriously, they'd be so weird. He might have been the only person that could do it justice, as long as they gave him 20 hours. And one of the last thoughts that I feel like he pushes is that even the humans in this are not humans. We are watching things that humans have turned themselves into, or that the humans have made. That pure humanity has been lost long ago, and that none of these characters have been humans. Some of them have been robots. Some of them have been part alien. Some of them have been straight up aliens. There's a part where he talks about Baldanders in this Castle of the Otter, where he says, I thought about these huge gods, these huge beasts. And he's like, they worship them as gods, but maybe they're just shit humanity was screwing around with, right? And he says, gods, real giants, and I think this is why he made these gods, because he's just obsessed with the idea of giants. He's like, real giants would break their bones by standing. So he said, so what I realized is the only way you can have giants is if they're in the water. And he's talking about the Undines, which is predates mermaids. There is a book called Undine that's fantastic, that I should do on the channel sometime, from the 1700s. But anyway, all these huge creatures have to live in the ocean. And at the end of it, he says, Baldanders is never going to stop growing. And the reason that he goes into the water right at the end of Sword of the Lictor is because he needs to live in the water to continue to grow. I didn't get that at all, but that's cool as hell. And that's what I mean by, like, Gene Wolfe, this is like obvious to him. Like the way he discusses it here, he's like, yeah, duh. Like, I just wanted to make giants. And I'm like,
Yeah, duh. I love it.
Dude, like, you made crazy gods and two-headed old rulers because you wanted to make giants. Yeah, I think what's obvious to him is not obvious to us, and that's the fun of this. And I do think he's a genius. I really do.
Yeah,
This
so
stuff's good. Yeah.
Gene Wolfe likes giants. I know the his 2-book fantasy series, the Wizard Knight series, is the second book is all about giants.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love giants. Giants are one of my favorite mythological monsters.
Yeah. Well, apparently they couldn't sustain their weight with gravity.
Yeah.
And that's why he put them in the water.
Which I love. I love that he tried to find like a reasonable basis for how giants could have existed.
Yeah. Well, and again, I'm just going to restate it. I love that he said, hey, nothing in this earth, spelled with a U, is what you think it is. They use the words, but they're not what you think they are.
Right.
The sword isn't what you think it is. The thorn or claw or whatever isn't what you think it is. And then he hints at the end that even humans aren't. We say that word, but
Yeah.
these aren't humans.
Right.
These
Well,
are,
the people we've been interacting with in this story are
yeah,
not like us.
because we've gone thousands of years into the future. We've had time travel. We've had AI. We've had robots. We've had, stellar. We've traveled into space. I guess that would be interstellar, right?
Extra stuff. I don't even know.
Uh,
We tried it in the stars.
We've had genetic manipulation, right?
Mm.
I mean, we've gone through so many phases of technological society that we're not. I mean, and God, making this into a TV series would be a blast. Give somebody a shitload of money that understands this work, and that knows how weird this has to look, and it would be incredible. It would be absolutely incredible.
I agree.
Yeah.
If the right person did it, it could be amazing.
Yeah, it would just be so weird. And the first 2 seasons, the person who made it would have to say, "Okay, you can't cancel me until
Right. They have
the
to get a
story's
contract
done."
to
Yeah,
produce all the money up front.
because
It feels
these
like a
first
Peter
2
Jackson deal.
seasons, you're gonna lose half the viewers from these
Right.
first 2 seasons.
Right.
Because this is gonna seem like nonsense, and then it will be beautiful. Yeah, I'd love to see this done. All right, I think we're both losing our voices.
I think it could be happening. We have almost talked ourselves out, but it was great.
Yeah. I'm glad you did this with me, Virgil. Of course, I want you to come back and do Earth of the New Sun with me, and then I think there's probably going to be a reread in our future.
I think so.
I can't decide. You've read what series came after this one? The Short Sun or the Long Sun?
So then it's after this series comes the Book of the Long Sun, which is a much easier, more straightforward book.
Okay.
Okay.
That's too bad.
That's in 4 parts. And then there's the Book of the Short Sun in 3 parts, and that is a major head trip.
Oh, okay.
That one is like, and I really love the characters from the Long Sun series. The characters are really great. The Short Sun series takes some of the kids, I think, or at least 1 or 2 of the kids, maybe just 1 kid from the Long Sun series and goes with them. And it is it is wild.
So it sounds like I'd like it.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's I remember reading it going, I am really having to think really hard about what's happening right now because it is crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide. So we'll do Earth of the New Sun, and then eventually I want to do a reread of this. I'm actually super excited for that. But I'm wondering, should I go from Earth of the New Sun to a reread, or should I go from Earth of the New Sun to Long Sun?
So Long Sun doesn't have like you could as a new reader, you could just read the Long Sun series.
Oh, okay.
And not even really read the New Sun. I don't think that there's anything in there that you have to have read.
Okay, it's just in the same universe. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Short Sun is informed a bit by the Long Sun, but it mentions a lot of characters from the Long Sun series, so you'd probably want to read Long Sun than Short Sun. But I don't think you have. But I don't think there's really. I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's no reference to the New Sun series in the Long Sun series or the Short Sun series.
Now, what about the fifth head of Cerebus or Cerebus?
I do not remember. I'm just going to be honest and say I don't remember.
But we know it's in the same universe, right?
It is supposed to be in the same universe.
Wow. Okay. And that was written earlier or later?
I believe it's earlier than the New Sun. Okay. I'd have to look at copyrights, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay. We got a lot to read.
Because all kinds of stuff. That's just that series. He's got other stuff too.
Yeah. Wild. And he helped invent the Pringles can.
And he's all this time and he's making Pringles cans.
That's right. Our man is busy. Well, shit, Virgil, thank you for joining me. I think I'm going to do this in one big long video. Anybody that loves the Book of the New Sun is going to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
So.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well, and I already did a review. So I'm just going to do it like that. I think from now on, and you feel free to do the same. We can do reviews on our channel, and then this will be the deep read.
Yeah, I'll probably do some sort of like a updated, finish the series type video.
Yeah.
And probably there's a couple things I probably talk about that we didn't talk about, but yeah.
Yeah. And then consider, oh, your book of gold is this one. I got to consider what my book of gold is. See if I can make a call out to people.
Wouldn't it be well, I mean, to some degree, isn't it Hardboiled Wonderland? I mean,
So
you
the,
don't think
the problem with that is like I was
we don't have to be
20,
that young.
I was like 25 when I discovered Hard Boiled. And
But didn't
there's,
you? But hasn't that like been a like a reading pursuit that you've gone back to things like that experience? Because that to me
yeah.
is what the Book of Gold is like an experience that you have that's like a pinnacle experience that you're trying that you like it can like makes you go on like reading journeys.
Yeah, but I've also got like a full shelf of fairy tales that I have obsessively collected and read because of a fairy tale book when I was a kid. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I hear what you're
Yeah,
saying. I
yeah,
I guess because so in that vein, I could say that little book of Poe stories could be
right.
mine. You know,
Yeah,
in that vein.
yeah. You got to pick your favorite one. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. That's a
Hmm.
hard question
It
because
is, yeah, it gets to be tough because then you're like, well, which one was it? You
I feel
know, but
like
it's like,
Wolfe. He's like it's Book of the News. Or it's the Dying Earth. He's got it, man. He's like,
yeah, he's like, boom, this was it. You know,
yeah.
like I read this and wanted to read it again. You know, so
Yeah, I get it. The Dying Earth casts a weird spell, and this one took that so much further. Okay, we better end it.
yeah, we don't have to edit all that stuff out.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for joining me, Virgil.
Thank you.
I'll see you for I'll see you for literally Liminal on Tuesday, and then Earth of the New Sun in about 6 months.
That sounds good.
All right,
Yeah,
go
that's like a
check
plan
out.
to me.
Yeah, that's right. Go check out Virgil's channel, everybody.
And check it out. And don't forget to subscribe while you're over here on Chris.
That's right. That's
Don't
right.
forget it. If
That's
you're that
right.
far in, what are you doing?